You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. The most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey. The most influential name in Caribbean radio. WZYE 95.9 FM.
Politics was we and them. That was never meant to be so, according to the anthem. But ethnic insecurity was maintained to divide us by some people in the country to sow the seeds of distrust. But we have got a new system within the community. Now what used to be we and them has now become only we. From now on this nation is we. From now on it is you and I. From now on it is unity. From now on we flying high. All the races have come together to build a better country and create a brighter future for the whole society. The we and them thing is no more, because it is plain to see in this country from shore to shore the community is we. No more we and them. From now on this nation is we. No more we and them. From now on this nation is we and we and we and we. Some ancestors came from India and some came from Africa. Look today, their descendants are here, coexisting together. There are others who came here too, the Chinese, Syrians and such. Native people are just a few in this land that we love so much. But the politics of the day and the love for a party cause people to begin to say them is them and we is we. From now on this country is we. From now on we all shall be one. From now on that's how it shall be. From now on all division done. As today united we stand, the people of Trinbago, one country, one nation, one island. Chutney Pan and Calypso, it's Trinidad and Tobago, better known as TNT. And we want the whole world to know we see ourselves as we. No more we and them. From now on this nation is we. No more we and them. From now on this nation is we and we and we and we. In this nation is no more, and Mother China done disappear, gone away for good I'm sure. If we want to build a relation, there can be no we and them. In spite of ethnic persuasion, all should fit in the system. Side by side we stand hand in hand within the society. This here paradise island, because you and I means we. From now on Lavanti is we. From now on race do not matter. From now on we means unity. From now on we are together. They cannot divide me again, cause we enter a new era. United we shall all remain, looking out for each other. Eric tell me matter they done. Today it is plain to see a new paradigm has begun, and that paradigm is we. No more we and them. From now on this nation is we. No more we and them. From now on this nation is we and we and we and we. Some politicians have tried their best to keep we subdivided, as their policies would attest. And now we are united, using that old colonial scheme. They sought to divide and rule, because if we are not a team, we are more easy to fool. Look, they had us fighting each other, causing misery and pain. Now all these times are gone forever, before never again. From now on, Trinidad is we. From now on, one philosophy. From now on, Tobago shall be. From now on, standing equally. No more African, no more Indian. We shall all be citizens, forged together to build one nation. Though we are different persons, done away with the we and them. In this land of Black Trinity, whenever we sing the anthem, from now on is only we. No more we and them. From now on, this nation is we. No more we and them. From now on, this nation is we and we and we and we. No more we and them. From now on, this nation is we. No more we and them. From now on, this nation is we and we and we. No more we and them. From now on, this nation is we. No more we and them. From now on, this nation is we and we and we and we.
In April 1954, the common belief, the universal belief, because it had been tried again and again and again and people had failed, the belief was that man was not physically capable of breaking the 4-minute barrier, that he could not run a mile in less than 4 minutes. That was the belief on the planet. It had never been done. But here's what happened, ladies and gentlemen. Roger Bannister came along, and he broke the 4-minute barrier. Now, here's what's significant about that. Since that time, up to this day, over 20,000 people have done it, including high school kids. 20,000 people. What changed? Here's what happened when they got on the track. They knew it had been done. And because they knew it had been done, there was a new belief about this barrier, about this goal that was unreachable. And those 20,000 people got in a race believing, knowing in their heart that someone had done it, that it's possible, that they could do it. And I'm saying that if you know anybody that had some goal, some dream, something they wanted to do, and they did it, then I'm saying that you know in your heart that if someone has done it, then you can do it. It's possible. And that if someone can make their dream become a reality, that it's possible that you can make your dream become reality. And so as you begin to look at where you want to go, beginning to embrace that, it's possible. I'm blessed and highly favored. I've got a lot going for me. I got some good stuff in me. And it's possible that I can bring my greatness out here in the universe. That I can do what I want to do. It's possible I can write my own book. I can have my own business. I can take the trip and travel around the world. It's possible. I can bounce back from adversity and reinvent my life. It's possible. Regardless of where I am, that things can get better for me. It's possible. I'm thinking about two men right here in Chicago who were fairly successful, similar background, educated. They worked for a corporation for many years, and they were among many people that were laid off. Two guys who were very good friends. One went out looking for a job for several weeks along with the other one, and they faced disappointment and rejection again and again and again. They couldn't find any work, which is the story of many people across this country. One guy stopped. He became discouraged. He stopped going. He stayed home looking at television, became very argumentative and toxic with his wife, drinking beer, getting on the phone, talking to his other negative, unemployed friends, and he just gave up. The other guy kept looking for a job everywhere he could go. Every time he could get an opportunity, kept asking people, networking, checking the newspapers every day. Kept going everywhere he could, trying to find a job. You have too much education. You're overqualified. You won't be here long enough. He kept going. He kept going. He went to a place and said, look here, I tell you what, if you can't hire me, and I know you can use my talents, abilities, and skills, I don't want to sit home and do nothing. Just let me do some volunteer work. You don't have to give me anything, all right? I just want to work. I want to be busy. Guy said, okay, it's on you now, but don't expect me to give you anything. It's okay. This guy came in and worked. He was the first one there. The last one to leave was the best employee there. About 4 weeks later, one of the top managers quit. They were looking for a replacement. Guess who they selected? This other guy. This guy who was volunteering his time. He got the job. What was the difference between the two men? Eyesight and mindsight. Eyesight is judging on what you see, judging according to appearances. But mindsight is how you interpret what you see. One guy said, it's not possible, it's over, I'm finished. I can't do it. I can't make it. He surrendered. I've faced rejection again and again. I'm not going anymore. There are no jobs out there. But this other guy, he felt that in spite of the no's and rejections, in spite of how bad the economy is, in spite of what the newspapers are saying, that it's possible that somebody somewhere will give me a job. He just kept going, thinking it was possible. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? That's what we have to do with our dreams. Because things happen to you in life that you can never, ever anticipate. And many times when those things happen, you want to give up. I remember when I was in broadcasting, when I was a disc jockey, I became very controversial, not only being a disc jockey, but I felt that radio was something that you not only entertain people with, but you also empower them, you educate them. And I got fired. I didn't just leave, they fired me. They took my microphone. I thought that was who I was. No, ladies and gentlemen, it wasn't. I had to do something else. And I didn't know what else I could do. See, here's what I'm looking at. What are the uses for your life right now that you haven't even reached for yet? See, I believe that when you don't have enough encouragement to act on your dreams or ideas, or you're not enlightened enough, that life will act on you.
Let me say a special hello to all the WZYE 95.9 FM listeners. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, it's in the village with the DAG Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. And we come to you every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. That's Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. Let me bring in here no other than Marshall Tommy, the commissioner in Newark, New Jersey, Nesbitt. Come here you go.
Good evening, Aslam. It's a pleasure to be here with you again, as normal. And I look forward to a very good evening. It's the first weekend of summer, so you know it's very hot. I got my AC running. It's probably a little noisy. I hope it doesn't disturb the show, but I look forward to having a wonderful show this evening.
Nah, man, I ain't hearing nothing. You're good to go. You're good to go. Yeah, of course, you know, I think Diana is going to be joining us. Diana is in California, and there's a 3-hour difference in California, so she's going to be joining us at some point in time, and I see Gary's already in the chat. He's also going to be joining us at some point in time. You know, so folks, of course, you know, there is never a dull day in Trinidad and Tobago. We know that, and you know, I think what I try to do, Tommy, is to try to see if we could also inspire people for a better tomorrow. You know, because you know, we need some a little inspiration in our lives, you know, on a daily basis, because, you know, the things that we are getting daily, you know, sometimes it's not really brain food. You know, you need a little bit of brain food every once in a while to stimulate your brains. You know, and we need people to start thinking critically about what's going on in the country. You see what happened in Grenada, right?
Yep.
A young man. Let me, you know what? Before we do that, let me get the superlatives out of the way for the people in the chat. You know, we always have to do that. So, of course, tonight we had no other. It's a normal thing. It's either T or N. One or the other. It's either T first or N first. You know, I know N come before T, right? So it's either T or N. So tonight, of course, first in the village was no other than Takesha. Takesha, welcome to you. Takesha was first and second in the village. Then this time,
Congrats to Keisha.
you know, Takesha never got a round of applause, you know. So let me get Takesha a round of applause, because Takesha is a loyalist in the village. You know,
Yeah,
very
boy.
loyal to stay in the village. So let me get Takesha a round of applause.
Keep speed.
There is a special round of applause to you. You know, we have never given you a round of applause, but we give you a round of applause because, you know, we know that we have a lot of loyalists here in the village with the DAG Triplets and WZYE 95.9 FM, and we appreciate all of you. Every single one of you, we appreciate.
Was the village sweetheart number 2?
Yeah, of course. Who else? Nadia was third, fourth, fifth. Nadia, Nadia, you're chinksing on the emojis, you know. You know chinksing, right? Tony? You know, Trinidad say chinksing. Nadia, you're chinksing on them emojis, you know. You can't start with 6 emoji and then go down to 4. Nah. I mean, Tommy, I feel she chinksing on the emojis, you know. Oh,
It's
you know
okay.
what?
She's still the village sweetheart, even if she
Yeah,
chinks.
but Tommy, I feel what it is, you know. I feel them emojis have a little bit of mood towards them, eh? I think depends on the mood chain. That's how the emojis just fly out, right? If she in a good mood, you get about 6, 7 of them. But if she not different, if she walk, then she gonna see she does walk. I don't know if she walked today. Tommy, you don't want to go out on a limb and say Nadia didn't walk today. Nadia, did you walk today, Nadia? So only I'm going out on a limb, eh? I'm going out on a limb, and I'm saying that Nadia didn't walk today. Tommy, waiting for the answer from Nadia.
I hope you're wrong. I hope you're wrong.
Tommy, I'm going out on a limb. I'm going out on a limb tonight. Nadia didn't walk today. I feel so. I just feel so.
I'm hoping that you're wrong.
You feel so? I feel seen. Okay, Gary, welcome.
Good evening, good night. How is everybody doing?
Everybody's doing fantabulous, splendiferous, marvelous.
Hey, Phantom.
Yeah. So let me go through it.
Phantom, we can't hear you.
He muted his mic. His mic is muted. So this is what I'm talking about. Takesha, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Takesha had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me see. 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Tommy, 17. 17, Tommy.
Wow.
Was Tommy saying something to me?
No. I told him
I
your
said
mic
I
was
wasn't
muted.
hearing you.
Yeah.
I wasn't hearing you, Phantom. How you doing, bro?
Yeah, you hear me now? I caught a little virus.
I can hear you now.
Just kind of under the weather here a little bit, but you know.
Yeah.
Under which weather? It's hot, man.
Yeah. I mean, I got a little sick. Something took me by surprise. So it has a little cough on and off, but yeah.
So
punching didn't work. The punching and lime juice didn't work.
I slack off on the punching, man. You know, and that's what caused the trouble.
Oh.
So Takesha says, sending love in the village, times get so hard. So all I can do is send love. Thank you very much, Takesha. Plenty, 17 of them. Tommy, I tell you, Nadia says, hi, Tommy. 2 emojis. Diana Benskin, 2 emojis. 2. 2, Tommy.
Hey, Takesha, I hear
Yeah.
there's water and flour and TNT. Is that true?
Say that again?
She got, no, she,
Water,
I think she.
more than flour and TNT right now.
Yes, most likely water more than flour. So we're gonna have to come from being flour daddies to water daddies. That's what you're saying?
Takesha said, big wassa on their job for not giving us water. They only papi showing the people. Hey. Tommy, you see I was right? Look, Nadia says, Takesha, I just there. No going to work, girl. You see what I tell you, Tommy?
If water more than flour, she can't walk in that water. We wouldn't want her to walk in the water.
No, Tommy, nah, once it no swimming pool or thing outside, she could walk.
Well, I heard they had a yellow alert emergency today. I don't know how that turned out.
Yeah. Look, Nadia now going on walk. She now going on walk, right? So Tommy, I was absolutely correct, right? I was correct. Correct. Let me say hello to my Joan Jadu Bear, welcome. Joan, how are you, my friend? Wait now, what is the date today? The day is the 25th?
25th.
Yeah, 25th.
Joan supposed to be in Grenada or Barbados? Joan, where you there? I must get no Joan business, but all you know, I can't help myself. Joan, where you? Now, Vonnie, welcome. Vonnie comes in. He says, good evening. You know what? Let me leave that alone. Let me leave that alone. Vonnie, welcome. I'm leaving that one alone. I ain't getting in that business. I ain't getting in Vonnie business. I stay out of that business. Yeah, Vonnie. Oh, God. Hold on,
I'm getting the chat.
Yeah, Vonnie said it seemed the ladies are in control up early in the chat. Yeah, they always in control. Highly welcome. What tax? Where you going, partner? Rajvi, you're inside. Fitstick, the real bong natty dread inside the village. All right. Where's that bong natty dread? I know what that is now.
I heard them talk a long time, boy.
Curtis Montreshad, you're inside, boy. You're inside. Davis, Emily, welcome. Emil, yes. Emil? I say Emil, yeah. Highly inside, welcome. Rennie Mohammed, welcome, you're inside. Chris Waljon, you're inside, partner. Watax.
And so keep your antennas up for the first guest, okay?
Yeah. Takesha says, Gary, we ain't getting, and you see what's going on with flour, all we getting in Trinidad is plenty salt. Oh, God. Yeah.
Fish Stick says, Takesha, you mean more grain than salt? Laugh out loud. Because them salt, not even salty these days.
Oh, well. What you gonna say, buddy? You know, we see that, you know, the politics in Trinidad and Tobago is just, it's just unbelievable, man. It's just unbelievable. And when we look at Grenada, we look at what happened in Grenada, and one of the first things the guy is calling for, the first thing the gentleman is calling for, let me put that up on the screen. Let me see if I have that here. Hold on, eh? Here we go. The first thing the young man is calling for, the young man says, Grenada new prime minister appeals for unity. See, the man not good in office yet, but one of the first things he's calling for is an appeal for unity. And I can say, I'm going to add another transformational leader to the Caribbean. Now, I've listened to this guy's victory speech, and I can tell you, right, he's going to be a transformational leader in Grenada. Hands down, no doubt about it. I can see, he's going to move Grenada in a whole new direction, with this new party and the 9 seats that they have, and it's like a brand new party, right?
Yep.
I mean, a brand with a 44-year-old young man.
So we are hopeful that the vibes spread throughout the Caribbean, because we need a total reorgan. We need to reorganize the entire landscape.
We need a reset. We need a whole new reset in the political landscape of Trinidad and Tobago. And this was a whole new reset in Grenada, a whole reset. And I think that's good for Grenada. And it could be a good example as well for us in the Caribbean. A very good example. So let's look at this other video here. Now, here's the question, right? What is a leftist party? What is a leftist party? You see that there, Tommy and Gary? It says the leftist opposition party. What is a leftist party?
I think that's just distraction.
Who made that statement?
No, it was one of the statements in the video there. That there's a leftist opposition party.
Well, the leftists is always supposed to be the ones on the wrong side, right? There's like, so they always like to brand them that, I guess in the United States here, how that is, how the politics has worked. But far as I know, leftist is more like a guerrilla, like a communist brand a party in the Caribbean, So anyway, this young man, my thing is, right, how much grooming he get to be prime minister? And how much grooming you need? Well, you need 40 years of grooming. I want to congratulate him. I hope that he does well, and I have high hopes. I'm very impressed to see what I see down there. And let's hope that, it trickles down through the Caribbean. That's what they call young blood.
So here what it is, right? It says generally the left wing is characterized by an emphasis on ideas such as freedom, equality, fraternity, rights, progress, reform, and internationalism, while the right wing is characterized by an emphasis on notions such as authority, hierarchy, order, duty, tradition, reaction, and nationalism.
The left is a rebel group, like, basically.
Left wing politics typically involves a concern for those in society whom its adherent perceives as disadvantaged relative to others, as well as a belief that there are unjustified inequalities that need to be reduced or abolished. Okay.
Well,
But
then we need the whole
they're
time. We
supposed to
need
be
the
the
whole
ones
time
that
to be left
rebel, you
wing.
know.
Tommy, that's why I went for the definition. I'm figuring out, well, they're still left wing. I'm like, well, let me really make sure I understand. Because I thought they was trying to bring, a American connotation to the Caribbean.
No. But the left always mean the rebellious kind, you know.
No, but it seems as though it's good. It's good rebellious because
Yeah, but
it's
I don't.
gonna be
Yes, it's good rebellious. But
disadvantage.
the authoritarian don't like the leftist kind of movement. It's like, when you're a freedom fighter, you'll be branded a leftist and all this kind of thing. You know?
But everything I hear from this guy is a sense of unity. Even in his victory speech, was a sense of unity. And he also called out the other party. Listen, we are not going to judge them because they are supporters of the other party. But at the end of the day, they are Grenadians. Right? And that is something that I really, really, really could endorse.
That is what I was talking about when you're taking government. That's how you're supposed to, that's the approach, that's the first set of words should come out of the leader who wins the election. And we didn't see that in Trinidad. We see more poison spitting.
No, Gary, Dr. Rowley said that on the platform in 2015. I was there.
And did the rest of the crew go along with him?
Gary, Dr. Rowley said that on the platform in 2015. I was there.
And what happened?
But you're saying that's what you need to see. And he said it. Say you didn't hear it. But he said it. It was there on the platform. I was right there in Balize house. I was there.
But did he stick to his words?
That's what I'm saying. Did he stick to his words? Did his team, did his cabinet stick to that command, that instruction from the Prime Minister? Did we go down that road?
I think there were people inside the cabinet who was doing that, right? And there may be some people who wasn't doing it.
Okay.
I think there were some people who were doing it and some people weren't doing
And
it.
Slim, look at it in the background and see if our guest is there.
No, he's not there yet. I'm gonna see him when he comes. So what I'm saying here, hey, ban me is ban me ha. So Nadia say I'm not seeing some of those names in the chat. Yeah, they're there, Nadia. So Chris Watson says, Ansem, a good leader of any Caribbean country knows that unity and tourism with a low crime rate is how a Caribbean country will survive in time to come. Full 100, Chris. Full 100. But can we get the politicians to agree to that? Can we get politicians to go on the platform and talk the kind of talk what this young man is talking in Grenada? Can we get them to do that? Right?
But then again, talk is cheaper. We need them to walk the walk too.
Well, Tommy, gotta start to talk the talk first, you know.
Yeah, but let me tell you something. You have to hit the ground. You have to hit the ground, right? And you have to touch flesh with the people. All right? You have to touch flesh with the people. You can't lock up your glass and pass the people straight. All right? You have to hit the ground and engage the population and what that vision is. If you don't hit the ground and engage the population, we ain't going nowhere.
Let me say welcome to Troy Smith. Troy Smith say UNC all the way right now. Who vex mind their business. Nadira, good night.
You know,
Nadira is in full agreement with Troy. Nadira says, Troy, good night, bro. I second that. UNC all the way. Chris
what
Watson says, answer.
what we need is a new perspective. We don't need any of the old recycled.
You're gonna get a perspective when we see Roger joins you there. A real perspective coming. Don't worry.
What perspective? You forget Roger Marsh with PNM too? When the UNC was in power, you forget that?
We need to put all the relics.
Gary, do you remember that?
Out the pasture.
That's the teller he called the shots.
He what? He does what?
He calls the shots. Whatever
what
side he switch with, they become government.
Whatever side is in opposition and they don't get what they want, they are with them. Whichever side is in opposition and they don't get what they want, they're with them.
We need new politics, new perspective, fresh, new ideas, young heads.
Yeah. Tommy, Nadia says, Tommy, your voice sounds good on radio station. You have the voice for radio, man. Lovely. Oh, Tommy,
thank you, Nadia. I've been in radio for a while. As a matter of fact, when Anselm was playing that first song, it made me think about when I had my stint at WAC. But that was my only stint in Trinidad. I had been in radio here in the US for a while. Appreciate you, Nadia.
So, Anselm, leftist party deals with socialism.
So what shots is Lavantil going to call? They have power too. Lavantil, Movan, East Port of Spain, they have power too. They call the shots in the election, not just Roger. What's their decision? They want to go down the same road?
Now, Roger and at the end of the day, Roger and them is for themselves, and whoever is for them, especially if the ruling party not for them, they go and line up to the opposition party.
That is just call the shots. They call the shots.
We didn't call no shots. What shots they calling? What shots? What shots they calling?
The union could cause chaos.
I can tell you one thing. They're spent bullets. Their shots don't matter anymore.
They're misfiring.
All right, so let's reload Jenny Montflair for a minute. What's the misfiring? Okay, so what do you think your people up in the hills is going to decide?
What do you mean? What are they going to decide? I don't know what they're going to decide.
They calling the shots too.
What shots they calling?
What do you mean? They call the election. The people up in the East West call the election. They could swing the election. If your people up in Lavender decide to go the other way, what's going to happen? That's one or two seats up there.
Gary, it's if the people in Lavender, not your people.
But that's your neighborhood. I'm saying your neighborhood. That's your neighborhood.
If the people, not your people. That's the people.
Yeah.
If the people in Lavender. Gary, I absolutely don't have no control, nor do I know.
I know you don't have no control. I'm just drawing a reference that they call the elections too. How they vote is going to call the shots.
But Gary, don't make statements that are not substantiated, because they're not Anselm people. And you know for sure.
Well, that's his neighborhood. He always called. I am not from that neighborhood. I can't say it's my neighborhood.
Yeah, he's from it. He's from it, but he's not in it. And at the same point,
I say the people of Chumakata. Or I would say the black disadvantaged.
Well, Chumakaka, there's a small area. We're talking about the whole east and west.
East-west corridor, right?
But nobody knows how the east-west corridor go vote.
What I'm saying is they call the shots too. They make a great impact. They are a battalion by themselves up there. They could sway the election.
In what way?
How they vote? What do you mean? What way? How they vote?
So the people in Caronica sway the election.
Well, the county. I'm just saying is they could go PNM. County could go PNM.
Suppose they decide to vote for the PNM, can they sway the election? Or they decide to vote for the PDP, can they sway the election?
The county people could do that. But I'm just saying it
They
always
sway the election if they do that.
Your neighborhood always votes one way. So let's see if they're going to save themselves.
Gary,
you can't make those statements.
Gary, there are constituencies in Trinidad and Tobago who have always voted for the UNC ever since they've been in existence and have never wavered. There are constituencies in Trinidad always voted for the PNM and have never wavered.
And there are constituencies in Trinidad that are swing. They go wherever.
Marginals. They go left, right, they go whichever way. That's factual. But you just want to look at it from one side of the spectrum.
Let me leave the show and see if I can get our guests.
Okay, no problem. Yeah.
All right. I'll be back.
So Vonnie Roberts asks, does anyone state when PM Raul will be back home? We need to fire the AG and Foster. And I want to do an editorial on Foster comments tonight. I want to do an editorial on Foster. I think it's important that we do an editorial. So Tropics, welcome. Zaid, welcome. Look, Eileen says, Troy, no hard feeling. But if you're looking to walk a straight line, put some pep in your step. Pep all the way. Yeah, boy. My boy Eileen is pep all the way, boy. Put in some pep in his step. Yeah, Chris. Socialism is leftist.
So Pep is pepping up, huh? What happens in the election there? What's going to happen?
What happened?
What's happening? How the votes is going to go down at the end of the day? What chance he was how the votes is going to go?
So, hold on, Eber Steele, Atong, welcome. Good evening to you. So Troy Smith already said who he's going to vote for. Nadira,
who he voting for? Oh.
Hold on, I'll get to that. The chat just kind of went out. Okay, here we go. Zaid, welcome. Albert Montano, welcome. Albert Montano says, a leftist party is any group that's not giving away the taxpayers' money. Socialist party is really a party helping the suffering citizens, and they're called leftists. Yeah. Chris Watson says, the only way Trinidad and Tobago will unite is when we get a Spanish prime minister. Oh, God, Chris Watson. Vonnie says, I think Rowley going left, and I don't know. Nadira, good night to you. So Troy Smith say, Ansem, tomorrow I'm going to vote for Kamala, no Fawood Khan. Right?
Oh, Troy in Trinidad, he's down in TNT.
Yeah, he gonna put his go and stain his finger for Kamala. Albert Montano, my wife, uncle, and aunt was a member of the government in St. Vincent in 1955 to 1962. And his son was in government from 1984 till 1991. But imagine the current prime minister of St. Vincent. I think he's been in power now for about 50 years. He still wants to be prime minister of St. Vincent. Really, boy? Really? I mean, that's his right. But
hope some young man will come in and write him out.
No. Nobody in writing here. I think he could stay as prime minister of St. Vincent as long as he wants. But I think his son is in the government too. Right? So Chris Watson says, Ansem, the union only want to remove the PNM because of the 2%. The more money the workers get is more money in the union pocket. Like the union just fluctuate The union like the Dow Jones, they fluctuate. Whichever side go support them. If deciding government supporting them and getting them what they want, they supporting that side. If the government not supporting them, they going and line up with the opposition. Why the unions don't help the people in the union? All they're doing is wage increase. How about coming up with a housing plan for the people in the union, right? So they could get houses. I know NUGFW, is NUGFW? That union from way back did some housing scheme in Valsin. And a lot of the union people get house. And them house real expensive today. Real expensive. Why the union don't do that? Why the union don't diversify for the people in the union? Right? I don't know what type of pension plan they have. Right? They could come up with something like a 401k plan. So when these people retire, I'm asking now, when the people retire.
I don't know for now, but I always heard that the petro, there was what do they call it? Before there was before there was Petrotrin, Pointe-à-Pierre. Anyway, they used to have good
Trintoc, wasn't it Trintoc or Tesoro? One of them.
Trintoc, it was
NP, National Petroleum.
Texaco was at one point. I don't know, can't remember. Anyway, they always take care of the they had good benefits and medical and all different kind of stuff up there with those people who work out there on that oil business. Yeah. They were better off than all the other people in the country.
The only time we just really see the unions and them is when something come with wage increase, something to do with wages. Union outside marching, right? And it doesn't matter who is the government in place. They out there marching because it's wage increase. It's time for them to diversify, man. All diversify, you know. And the people who are in the union, right, will complain that the union not doing what it's supposed to. And it have a lady that's called 91.9. I just call she the PSA hater, right? She's in the union and she fighting against the union who fighting for wage increase for she. I don't understand that, you know, right? And she will fight with she party against the union who fighting for a wage increase for she. Right? She rather go party line as opposed to the union line, and she's a shop steward. I don't understand them, you know. Right? So I just call them PNM and HGD.
There's party implants, boy. Party implants.
You know, I just call them PNM and HDD, the hypocritical, deceitful, and disingenuous. You know that TV in HD, right? HD television, them, the hypocritical, the disingenuous, and deceitful. She fighting against the union, you know. And the union fighting for her because she had to support her party. Boy, we really like it so in truth, boy. We like it so in truth. Albert says his wife, cousin, husband was chief minister in Montserrat. Albert are politicians all over the Caribbean, boy. Hamadullah Wahid, welcome. Good evening to you, my friend. Right? Nadira says, Troy, let Fawud take a back seat and run his nursing home and mind the business there. If I had to mind UNC business, and I just stay out of UNC business, I will know that, right? I believe Fawud Khan will make a good leader of the UNC. That's my opinion. I think he will make a good a leader for the UNC. And listen, the man says simply, and I am saying the same thing that he's saying. He doesn't want to kick Mrs. Kamala Prasad-Bissessa out as the opposition leader. He doesn't want to do that. Right? But he wants to become political leader, and he works with her as the opposition leader. Let she concentrate on the cabinet and being in the opposition leader. And I am saying the same thing for the PNM. Let Dr. and the UNC people are not going to agree with this, but I am saying the same thing for the PNM. Let Dr. Rowley be the prime minister and let the PNM get a new political leader. That is what I'm saying. Right? Because we need to change, we need to have a paradigm shift in Trinidad and Tobago. We need to have a paradigm shift because things just not going right with the two political leaders in Trinidad and Tobago today. It's not going right. It's just not working out. It's not working out for the country. It's just not working out. There's too much dissension. And I understand the people in the PNM cannot come out and say they no longer want Dr. Rowley to be the political leader. And the people in the UNC cannot come out and say that either. I understand that. And when Fawad Khan was here, he talked about that as well. Right? Because you had to toe the party line. There's a party line and you had to toe that party line. Right? Zayed say Ansem is a Lavantil father. No, I was not father when I was in Lavantil, no? I was still a youth man. Oh God, I tell all you, Alberta family all over the place, no? My Jamaica brother-in-law was Hugh Shearer, Prime Minister of Jamaica. Lord have his mercy, boy. Albert, you have family all over, boy. But you know, tropics, and this is the thing, right? You know, and we have to stop this, you know. We have to stop this. I am asking this question. If only Lavantil people will still vote for PNM, right? There is no UNC people that will still vote for UNC regardless, right? There's none. There's no constituency that will still vote for UNC regardless. We always bring it up that all them Lavantil people go always vote for UNC. What about the constituency that have always voted for the UNC? What about them? Don't they always vote for the UNC? Don't they always? So, as a matter of fact, tell me one constituency that have not always voted for the UNC. One. I only want one, eh? One. Anybody in the chat, give me one constituency that have not always voted for the UNC. One. One. Give me, I just want one, eh? I'm not asking for a lot. Gary, can you give me one?
Tirapuna, St. Joseph.
Gary, one that have always voted for the UNC. One.
That have always voted for the UNC.
Yes, yes.
David.
Oh, David? Okay. All right. So David and Lavantil is the same, correct?
Pinal David.
What's the difference between David and Lavantil? In that Lavantil have always voted for the PNM. Now, Tommy, I'm going on your words there. And David have always voted for the PNM. What's the difference? What's the difference, Tommy?
No difference.
Gary, what's the difference?
The difference is one party takes better care of the country.
No, we were asking about voting patterns.
I just don't understand what Gary does be answering sometimes, you know. Gary, I asked a straightforward question. One that have always voted for the PNM, which is Lavantil, and one that have always voted for the UNC. One.
Well, okay. Siparia will be one of those constituencies.
Okay. All right. So what is the difference between Lavantil and Siparia?
Well, Siparia have a better representative.
Okay. All right. All right. You see, and that's the point. That's the point. We always quick to jump on, oh, Lavantil always supported the PNM. Lavantil always supported the PNM. But nobody talks about the constituency of always supported the UNC. How are they any different from, I don't care. This has nothing to do with the type of support you get, what you don't get. This has strictly to do with the voting pattern. And if you're going to talk about one, you have to speak about the others.
All right,
as well.
So let's talk about this now. Who, the people that they've been voting in Lavender, are they taking good care of them?
Gary, you can ask that question. I'm not asking that question. You know. That is not the question I'm asking. Because I was just asking the question because Tropic said Lavantil will still vote PNM. Right? So Siparia will still vote PNM. Now listen. The PNM in power, right? When the election call, right? Who is Siparia going to vote for? I don't know. And I don't know who Lavantil is going to vote for. But who are they going to vote for? Are they going to change their vote? Are they going to vote for PDP?
Anyway, as the our guest says, he's coming. He's running a little late. He'll be in when he gets home.
That would be something to see.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. But why is it, Gary, that every time we having a discussion, people always say, oh, love, until they go always vote PNM. They always vote in PNM. And you have constituencies in the country have always... Do you really hear discussion with the constituency that always voted for the UNC? Tommy, what about you, Tommy? You ever hear people talking about, well, Superior always voted for the UNC? You ever hear them talk about that?
No, that's a non-issue.
That's a non-issue. It is a non-issue. But it's always, yeah, love until go still vote PNM. Love until go still vote PNM. Nah. All that to start changing, all that to start talking about changing them kind of rhetoric, because it's rhetoric, right? One side and the other side doing the same exact thing, but they only pointing to one side, right?
Well,
Troy Smith says, if Rowley could lead for 2 terms to make us suffer, I prefer Auntie Kamala another term because she did so much for the poor and vulnerable in her last term. Troy Smith, if you did so much for the poor and vulnerable in your last term, how come you didn't get re-elected? I'm missing something. I'm missing it. I'm missing something. If you did so much for the poor and vulnerable, why didn't you get re-elected?
Why did you all vote her back?
Ask the voters. Ask the voters. They're born in.
But when the people put the UNC in power, it's because they was fed up at the other parties. They was fed up at them, and they had enough of them, and they kicked them to the curb. They kicked them to the curb, and rightfully so, they got kicked to the curb. They deserve to get kicked to the curb. Right?
But when they got power, they were supposed to capitalize on it fully, that they would get a second term.
How much seats are? 29 seats?
Yeah, they had an overwhelming majority.
29 seats. You could have do what you want with 29 seats. You could have make changes to property tax. You could have do anything you want. What did they do with property tax? What did they do with it? What did they do? What?
With the Constitution too. I mean, that was a major, and still is a major point that has to be
addressed. They could have changed whatever they wanted to change. Of course, folks, it's in the village with the DAG Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. We come to every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. That's Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. Stick and stay. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back after this short message. It's Tommy, Gary, Ansem, and me here in the village tonight. I think Dana will join us at some point in time. So stick and stay.
You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to WZYE 95.9 FM, the most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey, the most influential name in Caribbean radio. WZYE 95.9 FM.
Apple of thine eye, hide me under the shadow of thy wing, O Lord, my Savior. It's so hard to deal with personal struggle. It's so sad when you feel alone in your trouble. It's real hard when you want to talk to a brother. It's so bad because of how some look at you after. So Jesus, come and be while you fix it. Come and be while you fix it. Come and be while you fix it. Jesus, come and be. Come and be while you fix it. Come and be while you fix it. Come and be while you fix it. Jesus, come and be. Cover my head. Satan want me dead. Cover my back from human attack. So Jesus, come and be while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it, Jesus. Cover me. while you fix it. Jesus, cover me. People see you smile, but don't know the hurt that you're feeling. Even as God's child, at times your heart does be bleeding. Where can you go when you're really looking for healing? Who know how to flow when your soul needs some restoring? So Jesus, cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me. Cover me home from evils unknown. Cover my feet so I'll never retreat. Oh Lord, cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me. Cover my brother, cover my sister, them who under pressure. Cover the preacher, every church worker, the young believer. Cover the worship leader and intercessor, every gospel minister. Cover. Jesus alone is the one who has the real answer. The one on the throne is the true and loving Father. He will hold your hand and keep you from going under. He will make you stand and let you know he's a fixer. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me. Cover me mind. You know the struggle sometimes. Cover me mouth, that the wrong thing wouldn't come out. Oh Lord, cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me. Cover the Christian in the midst of aggression with the power of your right hand. Jesus, cover them helpless children. Jesus, defend them. Send help from heaven. Jesus, cover all them radio stations that blessing the nation. Grant divine protection. Jesus, cover me. Cover me. Cover me.
Can't take that. When they want to stop all this humiliation.
Cover my mouth with the wrong thing though.
Wake up in the morning, more frustration. I can't take that. No, ain't taking that. So ain't taking that. Ain't taking that. So ain't taking that.
We are back with you. It's in the village with the DAG Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. We come to you every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. That's Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. And folks, we really don't tell people whether they want to call in or if they want to do this or not. But if you feel they don't want to call in, they want to send a voice message, you can send a voice message to the number that's on the screen. You can send a voice message to the number that's on the screen. Just make sure the voice message is clean, and we will play it on air. So you can send a voice message to 973-868-1444, and we will play your voice note or your voice message. All right. So, Tommy, you were saying something?
No, I was saying. Anselm?
Yeah, listen.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hearing you. I'm hearing you.
Yeah, I was saying. You were saying you were playing cover me while you fix it. I said cover our mouth so that the wrong things don't come out.
I'll tell you. Take it easy. Yeah. So Vonnie Roberts wants to know, Anselm, is the people in Lavantel going to pay property tax? Well, let me say this, the people that I know are more than going to pay property tax. I can't speak for all the people. I could speak for the people that I know. The people that I know, right, more than willing to pay a fair property tax. That's the people that I know. I can't speak for the whole of Lavantel, right? I can't.
I hear it has some place up there for years taking free electricity, free water, free anything they want, and nobody can do them a damn thing. And they should
Have places
That's
all over the
that's
country
PSA,
taking
Larry.
free water, Gary. It have
Gary,
places
that's
all over the country taking free water.
That's right.
It's only Lavantel that's take free water, Gary.
I am here. I tell you what I heard about out there, right?
But Gary, I hear, Gary, let me tell you what I hear too.
And the police dare not go up there. The police dare not go up there and do them nothing. They're taking from cable, phone, everything they want.
What are you talking about? It have people all across the country taking free water and electricity and all kind of thing. All across the country. It's all over the country people taking free water. All over the country people taking free electricity. It's only Lavantel.
I just heard about that. That's what I heard about that area.
I mean, you don't know any other area in Trinidad that taking free electricity and water.
Errant behavior is throughout the country. Errant behavior. But how can you get free phone and free cable without having a phone number that is registered in the system and without having a cable box that could access?
But Tommy, here what you can get. If you have internet, you can get a Fire Stick and you'll be able to get free. You'll be able to get free cable. Right? You can get free cable if you have a Fire Stick and you have internet. You get cable from all over the world and you don't have to pay for it.
Correct.
Right? And that is legal. That's legal. Right? So I don't understand where we coming up with these things that every time, everything. Look at the guy down in where's the guy who was the counselor in wherever he was? And you know what he said? Oledo go and beat him and Lavantel and do the same thing. Right? That's the fella with the tire. Why it is the discussion is always beat him and Lavantel, and it's like those things happening there, not happening in no other parts of the country. Why?
Why? Because no, they seem to be untouchable inside there. The government can't touch them. The police can't touch them. They're big and bad. Nobody wants to challenge them out there. That's why they've been getting away with it for a long time, and everybody don't get the same measure. That's how they feel. That's how they feel.
Gary, you know sometimes there is a quote that say it's better you finish it for yourself. Gary, the same thing you talking about. You know how much police it does have up in Lavantel? You know how much police?
I am telling you, that's how the people feel. That's why they're saying that.
Gary, I have family living in Lavantel. I could tell you, you don't know what you're talking about. You absolutely don't know what you're talking about.
This is how the people feel, that they have been, they're not treated fairly.
About I have family. My mother-in-law is in Lavantel right now. My mother-in-law is in Lavantel. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't.
I am telling you how the people felt. That's how the people felt.
Gary,
I don't live down there.
Gary, so you just listen to how the people feel, right?
I'm telling you, based on what the people felt, that what they were saying, that the same treatment is not dished out to them, that they feel that's biased. That's how they feel.
Gary, you said the police afraid to go up in Lavantel.
I have heard several stories, Ansem. It's not from one person, many persons up there.
Any story you hear,
not now. This is nothing new.
Any story you hear, you just believe it, right?
I'm telling you, I've heard several stories of people having issues up there, and the police is afraid to go up there, and they have to go up there really heavy if they want to go to do anything. But the people up there that be shooting at them.
And I tell the people up there be shooting at them.
Gary, can you verify these statements?
You were saying with your own words a while ago that why are they afraid to go and do woke up in Lavantel? And did you were raising that same thing? You were saying that same thing?
Who was raising that? Who was raising that?
You were talking about some repairman up there.
I was raising that.
You were saying that. They say they're afraid to go up there.
Gary, we have to be responsible. If we can't verify what we're saying, we can't be saying these things on radio. It's public radio.
I am telling you what I heard. There is no evidence to bring forward. That is what I heard. It's hearsay information. That is what I heard.
Yeah, well, we
Whatever
Bring
can't
me
you
repeat
evidence.
here. We can't
Bring
repeat
me.
here as if it's valid information.
That is why the guy was acting up like that, saying that you don't do the same thing up to them. That's how he
All
feels.
opinions and views expressed by the program participants, including those on social media, are solely their opinions and views and do not reflect the opinions and views of WZYE management and staff.
Yes, let me reiterate
You know
that
what we
these
had
are my views and not the views of the station WZYE. All
you know
right.
what we had to start
Again,
doing? We
this
had to
is what I
start
heard.
we had to start giving our views based on what people tell us.
I'm
And what
telling
you
you what.
hear.
Not my
What
view,
you
you
hear.
know. It's not my view. I'm telling you what I heard.
So
There's a
so
big
so so
difference.
so
It's not
so,
my
so we
view.
have
I
to
don't live
start.
all there. I don't know what's going on. I'm telling you what I
But I
heard.
so,
Several
but Gary,
stories.
I telling you something. I telling you something. I telling you. I have family living in Lavantil. Living in Lavantil. I have family living in Lavantil. And I telling you. But you don't want to listen to me?
I'm not saying, did I say you're wrong? I am telling you one thing I heard, and you telling me about you have family living in Lavender. I'm telling you, people have been saying these things for many years.
Yeah, but is that true? Can you
I
verify
don't
what they're
know.
saying?
I don't live there. I don't know.
Gary, you know if you repeat a lie long enough, it becomes truth.
Correct.
Will you know that? Are you aware of that?
These are the stories you've been hearing for many years.
If
Nobody
you
has
repeat
any
a
proof of
lie
it.
long
And,
enough, it
and the
becomes
key word
truth.
is stories.
So
Are
so
we
let me
there?
go back to the chat. uh, okay, Eugene, good night. Ellis, good night.
Actually,
Highly
actually, Eugene, what he heard.
nah, Eugene didn't say he hear nothing. PEP, the empowerment parties for the people, by the people, and only concern is what is good for the people. PP. Boy, highly boy, you're pushing, boy, you're strong, boy. Eugene Julian says, let's send Trump to TNT and see what happens.
Yeah, we own Trump down there.
I'm telling you. Vonnie says, I'm missing Lana. Like she's still planting even in the dark. She working too hard. I think last time Lana was outside all night, which she kind of get she internet. Tropic say property tax in Lavantil. Yeah, property tax in Lavantil. That'll pay the tax.
They're people too.
Albert says, Ansem, you are not totally correct. From ever since I can remember, before 1955, any election was PDP with Badas Sagan Mirage as leader, then DLP, then ULF before UNC come along. But Albert, my question is this: has there been one constituency that has voted for the UNC since they come into power? One constituency, and we already get that answer. So if there's one UNC constituency that's always voted for the UNC, and we have
Cuba North, Cuba South, these are others. Well, Shogunas East went either way at one point. West, now that they divided, is always was split too. Because one time was ILP.
So why it is when UNC communities constantly vote for UNC, there is no uproar, and when PNM constituencies constantly vote for the PNM, there's an uproar? Why is that?
What do you mean why there's an uproar? Because these people are suffering in their constituency. They're supporting a government that's causing everybody to suffer along with them, and that is what the uproar is about. They won't stand up with them for themselves together with those who are fighting the same battle. They're voting based on race and party. And what the grandparents say. A lot of people can't even talk. No, a lot of people can't even say they're going to vote another party in the house.
Gary, you always bring up this race talk, man.
But it's a reality answer. You cannot avoid the facts. You have to point out the reality.
There are no UNC constituencies that vote based on race, right? None.
I didn't say so. I am talking about. But
you always talk about the PNM constituencies voting based on race.
So which party is causing the people to suffer right now? Which party is causing the people to suffer right now?
Gary, the PNM is in power. So whatever difficulties that's going on in the country, the PNM has to take the blame. When the UNC was in power, the difficulties the people faced, the UNC had to take the blame. That's
but listen to me, but you're missing the point. The point here now, Ansem, right, is the policies that is applied by the PNM is what caused the distress more so than the actual situation you're dealing with. A lot of people don't understand that. Is the policies put in place and how things are managed is what caused more chaos to the situation. Is like we're dealing with a pandemic right now. It depends on how you and I manage your house. It is where you're going to get the best results. All right. Is if you want. All right. So that is what the points that we are trying to make here. It's not so much that whatever party it is. If the UNC was doing the same thing, I would say the same thing. But you have to observe that the policies put in place are so stringent that they are strangling the people to get their heads above water. They're drowning them. They're constantly drowning them.
Aren't people drowning here in the United States too? Aren't people having difficulties at this point in the United States? Answer me, yes or no?
What do you mean people are having difficulty? People are having difficulty all around the world, but it's how you manage the country, the resources. How would you mean the distribution is?
In this country? Isn't gas prices high in this country?
I mean, you guys is really, for the years you're supporting the PNM, you ever really examine the kind of things they put in place? You ever look closely to what they do? Or you just support the party because you're that way supposed to support?
What are you talking about, Gary?
Have you taken all the years that they claim to be a PNM supporter? Have you really taken a closer look of the policies and procedure they put in place to help the people get ahead in the country?
Guy, what are you talking about? Seriously.
Do you look at the PNM policies? Do you look at how they manage things?
Gary, I had to put you know the UNC in HDD, you know. Hypocritical, disingenuous, and deceitful. Here's why, Gary.
You can say what you want, but what I'm asking you is,
Gary,
you look at the policy?
You have a program on this radio station. And we stood up for exile and stranded citizens against the government of Trinidad and Tobago.
That is beside that. I'm talking beside that point. I'm talking about.
That is besides that. That is stand up against the policy of the government. That is not sign up against the policy of the government.
I'm saying way before this situation here. The length of years supporting the PNM, you have to take a closer look at it.
Gary, weren't you a supporter of the PNM too?
And I pulled away?
Right.
But you're missing the point.
Why did you support the PNM if the policies are so bad?
I overlooked it because Dr. Raleigh came here. I overlooked it because Dr. Raleigh wanted to make a new start. He wanted to make a new start. He wanted to hear our views.
Gary, partner, you getting too much of Waffle House franchises. Eh?
No. I'm telling you, I explained it myself. I gave the support. I gave the support based on the good conversation we had with Dr. Raleigh here at your house, that he was willing to listen to us. He wanted our input to make a difference in Trinidad and Tobago. And I say, okay, I'm game.
Hold on. Let me play some voice messages. Hold on. Let me play some voice messages. Hold on.
Good night, Mr. Anselm. Yes, I was hearing you discussing. But Paul Aisha was an answer. Why she leave Lavantel community to go over the Carney Bridge to live? I wanted to ask her because it gets worse. Yeah, we get fed up at the PNM. The PNM 60 years is only slavery. How much oil boom they get, Mr. Anselm? Them is the thing you have to talk about. How much oil boom they get? What they do with it? All we main roads. All the main roads is still traffic. Still traffic. What is going on? I don't like the PNM at all, at all, at all, at all. They never do nothing good for me. Never. What you to call Hines? Call this MP from Mova, who does like a Baba people cheering on August when it come in August time to go into September month. Call all these MPs who live in Lavanti and ask them why they leave Lavanti to go in other constituency to live comfortable, and how we in a mess and how people in a mess in Lavanti.
So Troy Smith.
Who's that? Who's that? Who leave you a voicemail?
Troy Smith.
Really?
Yeah. Troy Smith. So Troy Smith, Tommy, you live in a good area in Newark, right? Right?
Yes.
Right. So I lived in one of the bad areas in Newark, right? When I moved from Brooklyn to New Jersey. So Tommy, is it okay if I try to better myself and my family by moving to a better community? Is it okay? Or is it
No, that's quite acceptable.
Oh, so should I stay in this community, right? And just because, all right, I could afford something better, but I stay in here. Troy said, why people in move out? So Troy, so people should stay in those communities. I should have stayed in Newark then. I should have stayed at 104 Alexander Street and stay in Newark, right? And not only that, Tommy, when we moved from there and we moved to Maplewood, we didn't just stay in that part of Maplewood. We moved to another part of Maplewood again too. It's all about trying to better yourself and your family. There are some people who cannot do it, and there are some people who can do it. So there will be people who will move out of those constituency. Right? That's what it is.
But at the same time, we try to hold our elected officials' feet to the fire to make sure that they improve the quality of life wherever we are.
Well, the landlord need to live in his building, basically. So the MP need to live in his constituency.
I agree with that. I wholeheartedly agree with that. I wholeheartedly agree that
I endorse that 100% also.
Still 100.
Going outside the country for medical treatment, telling the people that the best healthcare there, but you going outside the country for medical treatment?
But Gary, listen to this, and Tommy, listen to this, right? People that tell me, well, Wall Street, you talking all you're talking. Why you don't come back home and live in Lavantil? Come back home and live in Lavantil now. I tell them, I say, listen, when Fitzgerald Hines will move back into Lavantil West, I will come back to Trinidad and live in Lavantil. Them don't want to ask the representative for their constituency, right? And I'm talking about PNM people, and most of the time it's PNM people outside of that constituency. Them don't want to ask Fitzgerald Hines to live in there, you know. They don't want to ask, you know, but they want to ask me to live in there. I challenged Fitzgerald Hines when the thing was in the beat I tell him I would have come and stay 7 days in the beat if he stays 7. I even cut it down to 3. Did he take up the challenge?
You see, the voters have to hold their representatives' feet to the fire to make that a requirement that they live in the community that they represent. And that would make all the difference in the world.
Tell Anderson to be coming to check him out.
Let me say this other thing here.
Tell Anderson to be coming down to make a cook, boy.
Gary, listen to this, right? This is what Albert says. I'm going to get this from Albert here. You see, because I think we pick things conveniently in Trinidad and Tobago, and we continue to go along with it. Let me get this one for you. Albert said this. Albert said this, right? Listen to this. Anything under the Caroni River never voted for the PNM. I don't know, Albert said this. Anything under the Caroni River never voted for the PNM. What does that tell you, Gary, if that's accurate?
Well, not 100% accurate, because my grandfather voted PNM.
Gary, we talking about winning our constituency. We ain't just talking about voting.
Now he's saying anything. Now what he's saying, a constituency is a different thing. But what I'm saying to you is,
That's
my
what the
grandfather voted
implication
PNM.
is. The implication is a constituency,
Yes,
not
that's what he's
not individuals.
not implying individual. What are individual vote? Implying constituency. That's what he's implying. Anything under the Caroni River never voted for the PNM. Gary?
Okay.
So what? So now, if the Laventille people continue to vote for the PNM, what's wrong with that?
What wrong with that? What wrong with that? What wrong with that is the point that people are basically trying to make is that the kind of treatment they get in the end is still continuing to vote that direction. That is what is causing the war. What do you think is causing the war?
What?
You think it's because of any party politics?
What war,
if
Gary?
you support any Laventille is supporting the oppressor. That's how the people see it. Laventille is supporting the oppressing force that we all trying to fight against.
Oh, and it's just the PNM when they empower.
Does that clear it up? Does that clear it up for you? Laventille is voting.
That clears up absolutely nothing. It's only the PNM when they empower them does oppress people, right? No other party when they is in power, they no oppress people, right?
So did you see the UNC oppress anybody?
How much black people got arrested during the state of emergency?
Innocent ones.
Wait a minute.
What was that?
That was wait a minute, and I know you guys spinned it into a racial meaning. This was a big racial war. The Indian government locking up black people. They bring Patterson from New York to say that the UNC government racial, right? You remember all of that? You remember that? Patterson went to Trinidad and Tobago.
What was the percentage if you want to go down the race line, the percentage of blacks and the percentage of Indians that were locked up?
I gotta skip out. I'll come back in a little bit.
Anytime Gary got a tough question, you gotta skip out.
You know, and what's funny is that Jamaica even got involved in the politics of Trinidad during the UNC's tenure to talk about how they were doing racial stalking.
You know, we had to stop this divisive politics, and I keep telling Gary that we have to stop the divisive politics. The politics.
If you start going down that way, you'll find you'll be able to point fingers left, right, and center.
Both sides. You could point fingers at both sides of the coin. Both sides of the coin. We have to stop the divisive politics. We could continue, right? But as I said, the country going to hell in a wastebasket.
Right, it does nothing to better the country.
Nothing.
When we should be looking at ways to improve our relations. Because guess what? It's one people, regardless of what. It's one people. It's just the politicians who thrive on the separation and the division.
So here's a message from Ellis. Ellis says, if Kamala and Rowley over 70 and still want to lead, Ronald Reagan could go up for election. Who cares? The only difference between Reagan and them is he lying down. Right? Vonnie Roberts says, oh, Jenny, she sees nothing wrong with the PNM. She and Barrett area. Vonnie Roberts want to know, where is Anderson? And I saw Anderson listening, man.
You know, at the end of the day, when you really think about it, it's just the leadership that matters. It doesn't matter what the name of the party is.
Tommy, you hit the nail on the head. You need the nail on the proverbial head. And at the end of the day, everybody takes their cue from the leader because the leader of the party runs things.
It don't matter which party is in power, as long as the leadership is adequate and they're doing the right thing.
That's it. You understand?
Yeah, and all the distraction is just to create more and more division.
Look at the plagiarism thing with Foster Cummins. As a matter of fact, let me do a little something. I'm gonna go solo here, Tom. Give me a minute here. I want to say something, and I had meant to say this before, right? You see, in Trinidad and Tobago, we have to stop these sort of divisive politics. Look at Foster Cummins, for example, right? Foster Cummins did plagiarism years ago. He was not MP. He wasn't a senator, right? He wasn't a minister. Absolutely nothing when he did those plagiarism. It was wrong what he did. It was wrong. He apologized for it, and he went back after a year, and he became successful. He finished his degree, right? The man did something wrong. All of us make mistakes. We all make mistakes in life. He made a mistake. He repented for it, right? He acknowledged his mistake, and he went back and made something of himself. He made
a correction.
Huh?
And made a correction.
He made a correction. Correct, Tommy. He made a correction. But think about this, right? Mrs. Kamala Persad-Bissessar plagiarized a United Kingdom politician speech, word for word. Word for word. And you know what Mrs. Kamala Persad-Bissessar did? She said it was an administrative error. It was an administrative error. And she was prime minister of the country. Right? And everybody want to talk about, but look at Foster Cummins plagiarism. He plagiarized, it's a university. That plagiarism different from Miss Kamala Persad-Bissessar plagiarism. How is it any different? The man made a mistake and he owned up to his mistake and he went on with his life and he became something in his life. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that?
He was at an institution of learning and he learned something from it.
He learned something from it. He made a mistake. And boy, 15 years later, that has nothing to do with what's going on in the country today. You bring that up. All right? And when you bring up something similar that our prime minister of the country did, people making excuses for the former prime minister of the country. That is the problem that we're facing. That's the problem that we're in. That is part of the problem. Right? We should be saying, boy, Foster Cummins, you young kids, right, can say, Foster, you made a mistake. You apologize for your mistake, right? And you came on to be a better person. All of us in life make mistakes. Any one of us can tell us we have all gone through our life without making mistakes. As a professor, there are people in my class that make mistakes. Right?
When you admit there's a mistake, then you can go to the corrective mode.
Correct. You can go to the corrective mode. But you know what it is? For political expediency, we want to pile on Foster Cummins, all you. Pile on Foster Cummins.
Nobody's saying he's a choir boy or anything of sort, but we're saying that the distraction is annoying at this point.
Tommy, and it's out of control. Right? It's not like if you did something and you did not atone for it. You did. I make mistakes in life. Everyone make mistakes in life. Right?
But atonement is afforded to all.
All of us. Mrs. Kamala Persad-Bissessar make a mistake when she plagiarized that speech. She made a mistake.
And she's entitled to atonement for it. But first she has to admit that she made a mistake.
Correct is right. Right? But it's not that she admitted it, She said it was an administrative error. People, we have to stop dividing the country. We have to learn from the new Prime Minister of Grenada. Unity.
And Tobago.
Unity.
Yeah, we need a new perspective. We need a fresh, new outlook on leadership in Trinidad in Trinidad especially. Tobago seems to be on track at this point. The jury is still out, but we are still hopeful that we're going in the right direction in Tobago.
And Tommy,
but Trinidad,
go ahead, Tommy.
But in Trinidad, we need a new perspective.
And Tommy, let me say this. Many people in Trinidad and Tobago say Foster Cummins was one of the best performing ministers in Trinidad and Tobago. He's one of the best performing ministers in the country. Right? And he's doing things in his constituency and doing things, to inspire people for a better tomorrow. He's doing things to inspire them. Right? Why all these attacks that happened years ago, with this young man? Why?
Well, like I always say, school children only throw stones at a tree that bears fruit.
Tommy, thank you so much. Yeah. We just can't go on this way. Let me play a voice note. Hold on.
So, Anselm, that is why the people of Superior has voted anti-Kamala for all those years, because they had to get betterment for their constituency. PNM, what did PNM, how much MPs they changed in Lavantil constituency for 60 years and no betterment?
Troy, go ahead.
I guess it's the same could be said about Manning and San Fernando. What was that? San Fernando East?
San Fernando East? I ain't sure, no.
Yeah. Manning, even when PNM got a shellacked, Manning still won a seat in San Fernando East. When it was 33-3, Manning was one of the seats that was maintained, and he stayed right there in San Fernando East throughout his entire tenure in government.
Manning had a good relationship with his community.
Okay.
He had a
Similar
good
to Kamala.
He was a guy who mixed with all kinds of people. You know, he was a real
down to earth guy.
And the PNM kicked out Manning when he lost the election.
I remember Manning.
Pro-chair and all kind of thing on the man.
They kicked Manning to the curb.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I remember Manning used to come riding his bike to come and look at us play football on his bicycle. And he'd be sitting there on his bike and just watching us play and then talking to everybody and so on and so forth. He was a real ordinary, down-to-earth guy. I remember him from, as I said, as a youngster.
He was a spokesman, a gentleman of highest order.
He was a people's person, and the issues he had in his cabinet was nothing close to what he was. You know, a different kind of guy.
Albert.
But the issue we had with him is how the crime rate was going, especially. You know, that really put his spin on things with me for him.
You see, yeah, what Albert says. Anselm, you are correct. The leader not necessarily to be in parliament. That's right. I am not, me personally, I am not calling for Mrs. Kamala Persad to go or for Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley to go. What I am calling for is for them to get new political leaders of their parties. Let them serve out their terms and go their way with Johnson.
It is really, it's just like putting an MP as a minister in the government. You really cannot service your constituency as an MP because you're always wrapped up in your ministerial position in the cabinet, right? And then I disagreed with Dr. Rowley in merging back the Ministry of Transport together with the Ministry of Works, because the job is so it is so, how to say, enormous on both ends, that this is ridiculous to combine. I mean, way back in the day when the things must not have been that much, but it is more hectic now, and the demand is far greater for you to combine those two ministries. So the Ministry of Works should be separated from Ministry of Transport because you need that kind of attention. So we're doing ridiculous things by giving MPs ministerial position. We should put senators.
Gary, which government had the most ministries ever in the history of Trinidad and Tobago?
The PPG, and there was why was that? That was to provide sufficient services to delivery to the people. That's why the ministry split.
Okay,
Gary, I agree with you that works and transport needs to be separate. I fully agree with you on that, because, like you said, they require a lot of more dedicated attention.
I mean, look at for instance the MP job alone by itself. Hey Diana, welcome. The MP job alone is very hectic. All right. So why would you want to add a ministerial position and cause the constituency to suffer for the service that they really require?
But Gary, that is no different than the prime minister and the political leader.
But that's the point I'm saying, that the Dr. Ford made a point, and that came across when Pandey was political leader and opposition leader. There was discussion to split so that the party can give attention to what is necessary to the party to build the party on the ground. There's no party drive, membership drive. They were just all comforted with it and last minute things. Everything done last minute. An election coming, then they're ready to throw things together. But throughout the year, same thing. You know, in fact, the PNM has a better party structure functioning machinery.
So here is Ellis. Ellis says, didn't Kams ask Pandey to step down because he had served this time? Didn't Gypsy, Jack, and Ramesh work alongside Kams to remove Pandey?
No. It was incorrect. Kams wasn't part of the plan to remove Pandey. Kams became part of the plan after Pandey was removed. Because it was a ramjack operation. In fact, when I went to Trinidad, she had no idea what was going on. She started yelling at me. And I said, I just reached, I don't know what's going on. And I got dragged into some meetings and get to find out what's going on, because I had no idea what was taking place there. And even she didn't know at the time. She didn't even know that the intention was to make her the leader.
I don't know. Ellis could follow up on that.
You don't know that. I'm telling you, I know that because I was directly involved.
No, well, Ellis said something, and Ellis could follow up on his statement.
Okay, so I'm just telling you about Kams was not part of removing Pandey.
No. It says, didn't Kams ask Pandey to step down because he had served this time?
No, she didn't.
Okay. Then Gypsy...
Not to take away from you, there's something going on here in the chat. Somebody's impersonating Carice and she's asking to block. I don't know, you know. Do you have a way to tell?
Don't worry. Let me get it. All right, let me get it. Hold on.
Okay. Listen here. All behave all yourself now. Oh, gosh, I just gone across the ocean a bit. The land a bit, all misbehaving already in the chat. What's wrong with y'all? Oh, the Curry saying this is Miami Jesus. We found out that the account is TG, woman who stole his pictures. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
How are you doing, Diana?
Me, I good, man. I had a writers' conference all day. So tomorrow is this some ceremony and pitching your sales, and you're pitching your book, and somebody gonna sign you up, and they're going to some beach tonight, but I ain't going to no beach here in California because the sharks like to hang out there. So, and they see this nice brown Caribbean meat, they may just want to take a bite out of me.
Oh.
Well, you should get some of the waterfront breeze, man. Let's go walk by the beach.
Walk by the beach? Hey, if I go by the beach, I had to jump in and take a splash, Gary.
Water down there in California, though.
So hold up, guys. Let me get some of these messages here in the chat, because the chat going real fast.
I'm waiting for my copy of the book, eh?
Oh, yeah, $20.
You got a publisher?
Huh?
You got a publisher?
Yeah, definitely. But I have to proof it, make sure there are no errors in it. But then they'll go to buy. They will see who picked me up tomorrow, and they'll publish through them. They will distribute it for me worldwide, wherever.
Okay.
Highly say, Diana, stop lies, Rowley. I go on to meet. Hey, Hailey, if I want to see Dr. Rowley, I have his personal number, and we could do a thing from there. Watch yourself.
Tropic said the question was about Cavent. I don't know. So Eber Steele Atong says, I agree with you, Assembly Born, because Dr. Rowley can be the PM and focus on managing the government. However, we need a new political leader to manage the party political agenda. And Eber, that's exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. Hailey says the party name. Nizam Mohammed said, Nizam, welcome. One is Indian and the other is African. That's what Nizam said.
Hailey, you here is Rowley side chick. I will be no side to no. I'm not gonna be no second fiddle anymore. So I don't know what you're talking about side nothing now. All right.
Ali says, nah, Sipera was PNM before UNC. Wall Street Silence Day. Ellis says, never expect a straightforward answer from a party devotee.
So they gain your licks this week, or they gain your licks about answer?
Oh, no. I don't think it's me talking about it. Rose, good night. Albert Montano says, Anselm, Gary, listen to this, Albert is our historian in the village. Listen to this, listen carefully. Anselm, all the constituency in the sugar belt always voted for the UNC.
Well, yeah, that was before the UNC was ULF before, remember?
Well,
That was DLP.
Gary,
well, twist it around. They don't vote PNM then. That's what we're trying to say.
All the constituency in the sugar belt always voted for the UNC.
But that's the sugar party.
Gary, you can vote for whoever you want to vote for. That is your right. Right? But the problem is when people decide they're going to vote for a certain party and they're not voting for your party, you ostracize and try to make them out to be something, and you have people on the other side of the spectrum.
No. You're trying to spin this around in a way that
Remind me of a
has nothing
younger
to do with
me.
it. The issue here again, right, is the oppressing party that has the people living how they're living there.
Gary,
that is the issue here.
Gary,
the issue.
Gary, you use certain words. The UNC oppress people too, Gary.
Yeah, you was okay. Come on, bring that back. How do you UNC oppress people? Which way?
3,800 black youths during the state of emergency.
And that was listen to Diana.
Why is that, Gary?
Whoa.
Okay. And that was explained to you that is the police who did that, and the police recommend that, and had nothing to do with the Indian sitting government. The word spreading around the world, the Indian government oppressing black people in the country. That is how they went about it. That was the propaganda from the African base within the PNM.
No,
right?
but listen, while the PPG was in party, there were some Africans who were PPG ministers who were saying they didn't vote for us. We don't want to see them. I remember that clearly. I'm saying Africans who were in the PPG who were saying, making that statement. They didn't vote for us. We are not interested in helping them. And I know that to be a fact.
And what level are the African base with them? Were they high up there with Makandak Daga and them guys?
Because, you see,
I had an earful.
I try my best not to delve too deep into it because.
But again, Tommy, this was spinned against the government that the Indian government oppressing African people. But these guys were arrested poorly because the police failed to provide proper evidence that they were related to involving gang. Right? The police failed there. The police, and most of those police officers, more people of African descent. There was an Indian police that go up there and lock them up.
I'm trying hard not to get into the Indian African discussion.
No, you have to. No, you have to. You have to deal with it. You have to deal with it, Tommy. You have to deal with it because this is the mischief. This is the mischief that was worked to derail the government, and they didn't talk. They didn't talk. Listen to this. They didn't talk about how safe the people felt when both the police and the army did joint patrol, and they had a lot of people saying we felt that we could sleep comfortably in Laventille for a change. Right? A lot of people said that wasn't broadcast. The people who said they could walk and they could sleep without gunshots because the army and police were patrolling heavily. They didn't talk about that. They spin.
There's only people in Laventille could have feel safe, right?
I'm trying hard not to get
only people that you know the people in Laventille can feel safe, right?
That was the area where the gunshots was flying the most. Was Laventille and Enterprise.
Oh, you're putting Enterprise now?
Well, I know that was the other area.
Oh,
Gary.
So you add them after the... Okay, Gary.
And a lot of people... A lot of people move into Enterprise from Laventille that's causing the problems down there. You didn't know that, right? You didn't know that, right? Enterprise was a hot spot. Check with those people. It's have people live in Laventille, their Enterprise address. There are people live in Laventille, they have Cashew Gardens address. They live in both places. They come from Laventille. They come out the crime in the enterprise area wherever they want. They go on Cashew Gardens for a little bit. They're going back Laventille. They go in a different part of the area. They go on Penal. They're moving around. But the origination, Laventille.
You keep on with the divisive politics and exposing
I
yourself.
don't know politics. I truth. But I'm telling you straight up.
Continue. No, you continue with your divisive politics
No,
and exposing
it had nothing to do with divisiveness. You have to call out the nonsense.
Continue.
You have to call out the nonsense. And this is what derail things when the government is trying to do the right things and you're spinning race to make it look like it is something else.
Who's spinning race? What facts was there about 3,800 black people that got locked up during the state of emergency?
The police have to explain that.
Okay.
They were following the directive.
Information.
They
that
followed
was
the
information.
directive.
This was explained to you before, Ansem. The police.
No, Tommy, under Gary Griffith, under Dr. Rowley, the government is responsible for whatever the police do. But under the People's Partnership, the government was not responsible for what the police do.
I'm not saying that. I am telling you, the government, the police made decisions. The police gave the government an explanation what the decision was. The police failed to provide sufficient evidence against gang members. And also, there were some people not involved in gangs. Some people were branded so. And then was a total failure of evidence. Even if they were involved in gang, the police failed to prove the case. And that is why the government cost the government money. The police failed to do a proper job with prosecuting their case. And they moved too heavy-handedly, too arrogantly, right? And they moved more aggressively because the threats against Kamala and the government. They wanted to assassinate the prime minister. That information came to the government from the police. The TPS did that. So the failure here under the PPG government was the police and how they handled this operation. But it was spin against the Indian majority government, saying that the Indian government exploiting and mistreating black people in the country. That is how it's spin. But nothing about the good things that they did for the people, making the people feel safe in the neighborhood. That wasn't broadcast. The racist part of the thing is what damaged them. So let Laventille go back and vote PNM and continue the direction they go in. All right? Go ahead. Vote for. Don't have no opportunity. People trying to build schools, trying to bring preschool for your children, trying to put all the right things in place for you, clean up your neighborhood, but you're voting against them. Well, take away. You know what they say? How you make your bed, you lie. Go ahead. Continue that road.
Wait, Ansel, you started the show earlier.
No.
On time.
You in a time zone. I got that. Let me hear you.
What time it is there?
It's 8:53.
Well, my phone's saying 5:53.
Well, you're 3 to 4 hours off the counting guy.
The clock on the wall. The clock on the wall saying 5:53. That's all.
Yeah. Your
time zone is correct.
Huh?
Your time zone is correct, Diana.
No choice.
Well, let's give Diana a couple minutes to say what she had to say a little bit.
Oh, yeah. You're right. Yeah. Oh, God, I keep forgetting. Oh, hold it, bear with me now.
Let me know when you're ready to come back then.
All right.
Troy Smith says, look at Laventille and surroundings as compared to how superior look. Kamala has developed a constituency unlike Laventille, who voted in PNM for some odd 50 years. And Troy Smith, I fully agree with you 100%. Right? So the question is this, right?
But wait, answer. Kamala didn't help nobody build no house in Sipari. She didn't do that.
Say who?
Who said that? Who said anything about Kamala help people build house?
No, they said that the kind of houses that the people have out there, they didn't have nobody build no house out there.
No, nobody said that.
Oh, okay.
The man says Kamala has developed a constituency.
Okay, go ahead.
Unlike Laventille, who voted in PNM for some odd 50 years. And I agree with Troy Smith's statement. It's absolutely correct. Your statement is correct. And I have said that over and over when I left Trinidad in 1977, and when I go back to Chumaka, Clavantil, it is worse than when I left there.
But has any political leader of any party ever represented Laventille?
Tommy, you know what they're going to say, Tommy? That's a good question. You know what they're going to say? They're going to say, well, the other parties who have been in power only been in power for 5 years. Right? And Troy Smith's statement
But
is
that is true. That is true. How much you want them to do in 5 years?
Wow.
Gary,
but
if you want to change, if you want to have a paradigm shift, all you need is 5 years.
No, you can't say that because you have to understand the nature of the beast with what you're dealing with. You have to understand the amount of...
Gary, you know about downtown Newark? You know downtown Newark in this country? You know downtown Newark? Downtown Newark. You know downtown Newark?
Wait. Rose is having a bad toothache. Sorry to hear, Rose. Go, you know how to get rid of the teeth? Tie a string around it and let some untie it on the door and somebody pull the door.
Oh my goodness. Diana, that's cruel.
Tommy, can you talk a little bit about Newark? Don't talk.
I've been in Newark 50 years this year, and I've seen it come from ruins to a totally transformed, beautiful spot.
And Tommy,
pardon?
Go ahead.
Are you getting close to the top of the hour and watch it?
Yeah. And Tommy, I can say, I have seen the transformation in Newark year by year by year by year. 5 years is a long time to transform anything that you want to transform. If you want to do it, you have to have the testicular fortitude to do it, and you can do it. Right? We always make excuses that, well, they only had 5 years. Listen, Troy Smith is correct. Right? It is unconscionable what has happened to our constituency of Laventille for all those years under the PNM. I'm not afraid to say that. I'm afraid to talk.
But as in that, these are the points that we are making. You're voting your own divide.
The way you make the point from a race perspective.
But that is how all of that is included. You missed that point. The people.
No. I miss it. You make it from a race perspective. I'm not making it from a race perspective.
Answer. You saying you from
Laventille? Let me come and say the Indian party was in power for 5 years, and what they doing in Laventille?
No, they said the Indian party was oppressing the black boys in Laventille. That's what they say. That was all over the world.
When they say that, Gary, can you do me a favor? Can you Google it and give us that facts? Can you Google it? Google that, Gary. Just Google it now.
That is not in the printing media. I heard that, and in fact, it was on Facebook too.
Come in with well, guy, if you Google it, it will come up on Facebook. It will come up. Google it. Just Google it now.
No, Google William. What is his name? Not William Patterson. The Governor Patterson from Brooklyn, from New York. What he went and said in Trinidad. That was part of his speech. These are the kind of things he talked about. And I was saying, what? Was he mad?
Gary, just Google it so we can refresh our recollection.
I will have to
just Google it now. Just Google it now so we can refresh our recollection. Just Google it.
Going back to what we're talking about.
Hold on. We gotta go for a break. It's in the village with the DAG Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. We come to you every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. That's Tuesday and Thursday from Saturday to 10 p.m. We'll be right back after the show.
You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to WZYE 95.9 FM, the most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey, the most influential name in Caribbean radio, WZYE 95.9 FM. You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM.
We are back with you in the village of the DAG Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. We come to every Tuesday, Thursday, and 7 to 10 p.m. Yeah, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday.
I want to say something. The racial discussion is causing this program to implode. We have to change direction. We have to focus not on what we are focusing on currently.
Well, you gotta tell Gary that, you know. You gotta tell Gary that. And what we have to do, maybe what I have to do, maybe since I'm the one here, maybe we have to, I have to control that racial perspective that Gary brings to the table almost every time he comes to the program.
I am calling things. I'm telling you, this is what caused. So why is the people voting against a government that are trying to help them?
Gary, I'm not going down that racial line. Okay, seriously, I'm not.
Okay, so then what is the how are we voting? How are we voting?
And Gary,
yes.
How are we choosing
race.
Both
sides of the coin voting race. Both sides.
If 60 years it happened, this is a Trinidad and Tobago issue. It has happened big and bold and blatant in we face, right? It's nothing that we making up here. So we're not trying to promote anything that is not true. The thing about it is, in order to move forward, you have to educate the people.
Gary, you're not educating the people.
This on them.
Gary, you are not educating the people. You want to divide the people with your divisive politics.
No. You have to call them out for the nonsense.
No.
You agitation and education is two different things.
Not just
you agitating. You not.
And you the first one to talk about country. Did you hear the Prime Minister of Grenada? Go back and listen to his speech. Go and listen to his speech, and you'll see what he talked about.
Okay, so let me ask you something. Going forward now, right? We fed up a Dr. Rowley, right? We fed up a doctor. Everybody fed up a doctor. Everybody cussing Dr. Rowley, right? What is the choice now?
What do you mean?
What is the choice for government?
You have to believe that you believe that KPB is the best option. Is that your belief?
I'm asking you, what is the decision? What do you think is the best choice for the people?
Harry, there's an internal
election. We are clearly saying we need new blood all wrong. We're clearly saying we need new perspectives. We need.
Forget who's the leader of the party right now. Which party is the best option right now?
It don't matter which party it is. As long as we have, it's the leadership we are looking at. Well, as long as we get leadership that seems to be palatable, we should focus on empowering them, and that's my.
So you think a change in leadership in the PNM will make a drastic difference?
Absolutely.
I don't think so.
In either party.
I don't think so.
You don't think a change in the UNC?
The PNM need more than a leadership transition.
Gary, you don't think a change in the leadership in the UNC will make a big difference?
Change has to be done, not just the leaders. A lot of things have to change, but the PNM policy, I'm telling you.
So the PNM, so as far as you are concerned, the PNM need to change the leadership, but the UNC need to change their policy.
I am not saying the UNC don't need to change the leader. That's the point.
Can you just start
the point?
No. Can you start something at all, Gary?
The country is embedded in PNM ways and rules of doing things. You just can't change the leader. You have to approve. You have to have a leader that is strong enough to approve all of those wrong things, a corrupt way of doing things. It's not an easy task. It's not a total
Gary, we've said it before here that the playbook determines the outcome of the play, and we know the playbook is flawed. We know for sure that if the focus is put on updating the playbook and getting things reset, getting a reset, and we would go further, we would get much more done, we would advance a lot quicker.
And you think by changing the leader in the PNM will make that difference? Do you think that changing a leader in the PNM will make that difference? It's a rotten Cosa Nostra. Okay? It's rotten. It is from the police, the army, the justice system, you name it, the whole root is what the problem is. Putting in the UNC back in government,
we hear Karen
back in government, they would not be good enough.
We heard Karen talk about leadership in that PNM, right? And I particularly agree with a lot of what she said. And I still do believe that leadership makes all the difference in the world. Maybe I'm naive, but I still do believe it in either organization, whether it's the UNC, the PNM, the PDP, or whatever. Leadership is going to make the difference, and that's the way it is. Just like Trump made a difference in the Republican Party. Hello, am I making sense? Or is it making sense what I'm saying?
You're listening. I'm listening.
Go ahead.
No, Tommy.
Yeah. So basically,
Tommy, at the end of the day, leadership makes an absolute difference in anything.
Absolutely.
Absolute difference. As a matter of fact, Gary, let me tell you this. A herd of sheep led by a lion will defeat a herd of lions led by a sheep. Let me repeat that for you. Let me repeat that for you, Gary. Right?
Say it again.
A herd of sheep led by a lion will defeat a herd of lions led by a sheep.
It's not sheep, Samson, it's sheep.
Sheep. All right, Gary, that is what leadership is about.
But you want to change
What you saying there, Gary? What you saying there, Gary? Make absolutely no sense. None.
It makes no sense that the whole system corrupted and just changing the leader who is not strong enough to change that whole system.
Like you don't enough. You can't even get a narrative and understand a narrative.
Understand what narrative? I'm telling you.
Let me repeat it for you,
Gary. Is not good enough.
A sheep.
Unless you get a leader that can really grab the bull by the horn and turn things around, and I don't see nobody there that is capable of doing that right now. Because
so right now, Gary is the all-encompassing person to see what's best for Trinidad, right? If Gary don't see it, then that's not good for Trinidad, right?
Gary's giving his point of view. Everybody could give their point of view. I am telling you from my point of view, the way the system is embedded, right? And designed and nurtured by the PNM, will take a hell of a lot to change that.
But you heard about the herd of sheep led by a lion versus a herd of lions led by a sheep.
That is all I'm saying, but that ain't making nothing happen in Trinidad.
No, but it makes sense at all to you what he said?
Preach all the poetry and philosophy, that ain't making a dent in Trinidad because these people stuck in their ways, and unless you get strong enough leadership to really rock the boat,
you say the same damn thing. Strong enough leadership.
Tommy, the same exact thing.
You say the same damn thing. Leadership.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's the same damn thing. But what I'm telling you is changing in the PNM or the UNC.
All right.
Making how much of a difference when you have a whole rooted system here to uproot?
But a leader is a leader. Now, a lion, a lion in leadership is a lion in leadership. That means that everybody has to follow what the lion dictate is, versus a sheep in leadership.
We thought Dr. Raleigh would have been a lion. We thought he would have been a real lion. What happened to Dr. Raleigh? He not strong enough?
You ever heard the story about the kid riding down the road with
Tommy, hold on a minute. Let me play this, Tommy. Let me play this.
Animals on the planet that the Creator identified himself with. The first one is the eagle. The eagle. And the second animal is the lion. And when I identified those two animals as his favorite to identify himself with, I recognized I better study these two animals, because if he is the leader of the universe and I want to be a leader on earth, I better find out the nature of these animals and also the attitude of these animals. And I discovered that both of them are the kings of their domain. The eagle is the king of the bird kingdom, and the lion is the king of the animal kingdom.
But let's talk a little bit about the lion. The lion has what I call the spirit of leadership. And this word spirit here is referring to attitude. Everybody say attitude. A leader has a attitude that makes him or her different from followers. Now, the lion is the king of the jungle, but the lion to me is a great source of encouragement to all of us. I want you to write this down. Remember this as long as you live. Number one, the lion is not the tallest animal in the jungle. Number two, the lion is not the largest animal in the jungle. Number three, the lion is not the heaviest animal in the jungle. Number four, the lion is not the smartest animal or the most intelligent animal in the jungle. And yet, when he shows up, they all run away. Well, here's one of my favorite quotes that I put in my books, and I believe it really brings home the point. An army of sheep led by a lion will always defeat an army of lions led by a sheep. And the answers to that dilemma is this: because leadership can transform cowards into violent warriors. The right kind of leadership can transform a timid into bold people who are fearless. Leadership is that powerful. Leadership can walk into a camp of depressed people, and in 20 minutes they have turned on into unbelievable, powerful armies. Because leadership determines everything. The lion is the king of the jungle because of one word: attitude. Everybody say attitude. Write it down. Attitude. The lion has a different attitude that makes every animal afraid of him. Now, we don't want to lead by fear, but it does take respect for you to become a leader. When I use the word fear in the jungle, we're talking about respect. The elephant respects the lion. The hyenas respect the lion. The giraffes, they respect the lion. What makes these massive animals respect such a small cat? The attitude is the difference. For example, a lion will see an elephant, and the thing that comes to his mind, one word: lunch. I could eat this thing. And he acts the way he thinks. Now here's another amazing mystery. The elephant is larger, bigger, stronger, more powerful, heavier, and more intelligent. And yet when the elephant sees the lion, one word comes to mind: eater. Attitude is a product of belief. You cannot have an attitude beyond your belief. So your attitude comes from your belief system. The lion is the king because of what he believes about himself.
Let me go to the chat and read some comments in the chat. Hailey says, this one for Ansem, Tommy, and Diana. I confuse all your point. Is property tax good for Trinidad because it has property tax in America? Or is it good?
Answer, let go a mouse in the lion tail and see how he go run. The lion fighting for a mouse, a rat.
Yeah.
Animal Kingdom. There's a book by George Orwell, Animal Farm. Read that and see. You'll see the hierarchy and let go a mouse with the lion and see how fast he run.
No, but I think you missed the point. The
No,
land is the king.
I got the point. Yeah. But I'm just saying, he ain't such a big brave. He like go this little mouse and in its skin. A rat, he gonna go. Let me say a rat. He gonna try to climb tree and run from that rat. That's according to Aesop's fables.
But you have to understand there is two domains, and these are kings. The lion and the eagle are kings of their domains. That is the example that he's talking about. Everybody have a king of a certain domain, right? So Highly said this one for Ansem, Tommy, and Diana. I confuse on all your point. Is property tax good for Trinidad because it has property tax in America? Or is it be good because they will fatten politicians' pocket? I don't think property tax is to fatten politicians' pocket. I think property tax is good for constituencies to better the constituencies. If the money don't go into the general funds or the centralized funds, whichever way it's supposed to, and it goes back into the constituency, we'll see massive improvements in the constituencies. Right?
But you need local government restructuring before you get to do that point. So the first thing to do was to restructure local government, put the structure in place, and then you move with that.
Joy Smith says, Ansem, UNC will paint your buildings in lavender, yellow coming soon. But Joy Smith, they had opportunity to fix the building in between 2010 and 2015, you know. They had a great opportunity.
Yeah, but they relocated the people and put them in, and they moved swiftly to secure them. They didn't abandon them. And maybe they had other plans.
What was that?
So maybe they had other plans to do other things and put anything in place. So
Tommy, I'm seeing Johnson, but his thing is not connected.
He just called me. That's why I left the show. He said he was trying to get in.
Yeah, but his device is not connected. His device is not connected. So, Kapisa said the biggest use of T-Water is the people. Vonnie Roberts want to know, can you send me a fire stick answer, please? Vonnie, we go talk offline. Nadia Mongel says correct. Rose, welcome. Rose.
It's Vonnie in Canada, right? Vonnie Roberts in Canada?
He might be back in Trinidad. Hailey says, nah, Gary, either way, burning tires and roadblocks is dotish in Laventel or Fyzabad.
I don't support that either way.
Aslam, I sent Johnson the link that you sent me.
Do it on his computer. It'll be easier.
I think he's trying to do this on his computer.
Yeah, but it's
he can use that same link on his computer, no?
Yeah, he could use that same link on his computer.
But the thing about it, why you frustrating people to a point where they have to do these things?
I think he can hear us. You think he can hear us?
No, he cannot hear us. He cannot hear us. Because his device is not connected.
Okay, I'll get out and call him and tell him to do that.
His device is not connected.
He could type that same link on his computer in his browser and get in.
Yeah, he can do that. Just copy and paste it in the browser, he will get in. So Chris Watson wants to know, how will the population know who paying property tax and who not paying the system? And how they get the 50% signature was not professional. Okay.
Let me get it. I'm coming out.
Fonny says, I agree with Gary. They feel like they are unstoppable in love until they stop vehicles in traffic and rob them. So the only place to stop vehicles and rob them is in Laventel. Right? Okay. So Albert Montano says, free water.
And that in black and white. That is in black and white in printed media.
The only place they stop vehicles and rob them is in Laventel.
They shut down the vehicles there. I'm not saying it is the only place, but it's the most frequent place that happens. If you get caught up in that traffic there, they're coming down and robbing you and running back out, and you can't do nothing about it.
So Gary, do they stop vehicles in other constituency and rob them?
Not to the extent that, like on the highway there, in the Beta answer, not to that extent.
All right.
All that's in printed media. But you show me where in the other parts of the country they're doing the same thing.
Okay.
That's beside the point. The point I want to really get across with the people is: are you going to continue voting for a party that has been oppressing you, or you want better? And what are you looking for?
Well, vote for the UNC; they will get better. Like how they get better in 2010 to 2015 up in Laventille.
That's a very unfair statement because the UNC did for them.
What did the people of Laventille get?
And you should get Kingsley and them guys here to come and talk about that because they live out there. Right?
What did the people get better? What did the people? I could talk for the people of Chumaka. What did the people of Chumaka get better under the UNC?
I don't know. You had to ask those people who are out there.
No. I could tell you. I'd rather ask them. I'd rather ask Erica John then. Ask Erica John. Ask Curtis Montresal. Ask them. Let Erica John come in the chat and tell you.
So what, the UNC discriminated against them?
Gary, when did I say that, Gary?
No, I'm asking. They discriminated against Chumaka. But did the UNC build schools in Laventille?
Okay. Albert Montano says, and some free water happened in Bamboo Village number 2. I helped them get new water connections, and the man allowed his son to connect to his home front way back in 1987. Albert Montano said that. Eber Steele says, ask Gary if he ever heard that police was ever afraid to go in Enterprise in Shogunas. Gary clearly is clueless. Not only ask that, Ellis, ask Ellis too. Ellis.
Okay.
The police are going
those people that is in Enterprise now, where they originated from? Where most of them originated, the gangsters in Enterprise, where they come from?
Laventille they come from.
But
right?
That's the record.
Okay.
Up in those areas?
All them people in Enterprise who is gangsters come from Laventille. Right?
Enterprise was not that bad until those people from Laventille relocated.
All the people who are gangsters in Enterprise come from Laventille.
Enterprise was not that bad compared to until those people from Laventille move up there.
Yeah, those people move up
and
there.
And right? People from Laventille, I tell you, in Cashew Gardens, in Enterprise, and surrounding areas.
Yeah, Gary, those
500
people.
and whatever.
Yeah, Gary, those people that move into Enterprise.
That area there, the people
not people who move into Enterprise, but those people.
The people that move in, those are the ones who causing the trouble there. The one who move in there, that area wasn't that bad. 500 wasn't that bad. It's the people that move into the area that is causing the crime. The thief in the clothes off your line.
Okay. Yeah, only the people from Laventille who moved to Enterprise, the thief close off the line. Right? Only the people from Laventille who moved to Enterprise.
People in those areas live good and respected each other down there, bro.
But yeah, I'm agreeing with you. Once them people from Laventille, when those people, as you say, move to Enterprise, they just go and thief people close off the line. Nobody from Enterprise. Nobody from Enterprise who grew up in Enterprise, don't thief nobody close off the line. It's only those people that move from there and come from Laventille and go there, the thief close off the line. That's it. Gary said the same thing about communities that he against. He knows just what he's doing. Tropic says, most of Laventille is okay and normal. It's only some areas bad. Tropic, thank you very much. You see, it's those who don't know Laventille and have never lived in Laventille, like Gary, makes those kind of ignorant statements. And son, if your mother-in-law get a chance to get out, she will go, whatever it is, it get worse. No, my mother-in-law does go. Ellis says, lie, you didn't hear anything, Gary, lie. Ellis said, last week, Gary said it's okay for businessmen to import illegal guns and then turn around and say you want the crime to done. Rock with that talking.
Well, the businessman had to protect himself if the police are walking along with them. What are you going to do? But I want to know how many businessmen hijacking and robbing people on the street.
It's only black people doing that. Only black people. Only black people robbing and hijacking people. That is it.
That's that.
How many in the businessmen?
And there's only black people bringing guns in the country.
How many
right?
business
And
robbing
there's only
people?
black people in the police force is getting locked up for bribery. Only black people. Ellis says, too many two-faced people in this country. Chumaka people bad, but business with illegal guns good. Rose says, and some call Guy Griffin and ask him if the police just get shot at in Lavantil. Nadia says, Ansem, oh yes, we all have to pay taxes, but fair amount of money to pay. Albert Montano says, plenty constituency in Sugar Belt always vote for UNC. All up, eh? I'll get up to date. Rajvi says, my tax is 42% of what I make. Only need to be happy with a little property tax. Rajvi, them people don't know property tax, but Stephen says, Stephen, welcome. Stephen Dabadine says, how much could a party do in 5 years amongst many things done? Denise says, yeah.
I'm just thinking. I remember you should have Andy's email. I think it's Los Bajo something. If you probably put in Los Bajo, it will probably pop up.
Let me try and see if I could send him an email. Denise says the essence of leadership is open communication, strong values, and a clear vision. And the most valuable way to secure the consistent results that define enduring success. What is it? What is it, Tommy, again?
LOSBAJOS.
Hold on. LOSBOJAS. Hold on.
When you do, once you do that, it should pop up.
LOS.
BA.
Okay, here it is. All right.
Yeah.
All right. It popped up. So you need me to send the link to him there?
Send a link to him.
Okay, let me do that real quick. P-A-R-Y. Yeah, let me send it there. Here it is. All right, tell him the link come in there. I'm sending it right now. Okay, I just sent it. So that was Denise. Let me go back quickly here. Fistic say Lion is no king of the jungle. People watch too much Lion King cartoons. Janice says not all doctors are leaders. I don't know who Auntie Rancid Ali. I don't know who that is. Denise says it's need a culture shift, turn it on its head. Or Rajvi says, please play the video at WZYE TV to explain how people are brainwashing Trinidad.
It's right in your email.
Huh? What was that?
No, I was telling Andy. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, no. So I'm sending it in via email. This is it here. Hold on, let me get that. Okay, where is that one?
Yeah,
Rajvi,
so I was just telling.
Here we go.
I think there are two ways in which people are controlled. First of all, frighten people, and secondly, demoralize them. An educated, healthy, and confident nation is harder to govern. And I think there's an element in the thinking of some people. We don't want people to be educated, healthy, and confident because they would get out of control. The top 1% of the world's population own 80% of the world's wealth. It's incredible that people put up with it. But They're poor, they're demoralized, they're frightened, and therefore they think perhaps the safest thing to do is take orders and hope for the best. I think there are two ways in which people are controlled. First of all, frighten people, and secondly, demoralize them. An educated, healthy, and confident nation is harder to govern. And I think there's an element in the thinking of some people. We don't want people to be educated, healthy, and confident because they would get out of control. The top 1% of the world's population own 80% of the world's wealth. It's incredible that people put up with it. But they're poor, they're demoralized, they're frightened, and therefore they think perhaps the safest thing to do is take orders and hope for the best.
So let me continue with more of the chat. I don't know who Auntie Rancid Ali that is, no? That looked like a kind of suspicious full child. Hailey says, Troy Smith, no, I talking Superior because when I look at Superior, it looks the same. That's why I'm asking, you know. Hailey? Fishstick says, we don't vote for leaders, we vote for representatives. Kamala doesn't represent my area, so leadership voting is just crap talk. Troy Smith says, all those hospitals and schools she built. Then he said leadership is key. Rajli says, play the video with the black girl crying and saying Kamala will stop all the youth programs. Troy Smith said, Hailey, she developed Caronage, which is a PNM stronghold, also placed playground for the kids of the Beaton. Hailey said, Pep is the choice. WZYE says, how? By banning him? I don't know who you're talking about.
You know, I would like to see, you know, let's divide the country into rule. Let UNC rule their constituency, give them the treasury for that, give the treasury to 41 constituency, right? Let 41 MPs have control of the treasury in their part of the treasury, and let them call the shots and what's going to happen with the money, and then see who develops it the best, and then you'll know which party serves you the best, right? So let PNM have, each MP has control of part of the budget equal to all 41 constituencies. See how they handle the money, and then you will see who does the best for you. So what needs to be, whether it's health, whether it's security, police, school, the MP has control of that budget in his constituency, right? This is the best way to go about it. I dare them do that.
So the vision would equal improvement.
The vision in the sense of the access to the resources. Let each member of parliament control the funds that affects his affairs in his constituency, right? Let the treasury go into 41, and then they have control. If they have to vote on a budget, all 41 must vote in favor of how they want the budget to spin, so that the government cannot override anyone.
So what's the purpose of the government?
Okay, what I'm saying to you is each MP should have control of the budget.
So what is the purpose of the government?
Divide the expenditure and the funds available into 41.
So what is the purpose of the government?
It has to be voted upon, because the way they're running things in the biased way.
The people already voted. The people voted for a government that they want to run the country.
But how the system, there's too much discrimination and how the money is distributed. That's everybody cussing and blaming. They give them control of their constituency and how things
What
run in
type
their
of political
constituency.
system is that? What type of political system is that?
They divide the money,
No,
and
what
then
type
they
of
will see who
political
does the
system is
best with the
that?
money.
You vote a government into office, and then you get in the MPs from the opposition party to run the government too?
So you don't. So the opposition has no say. They was voted by the people. They should have the funds to vote and to develop their constituency.
Is that a new system you want to put in place?
I am saying this is something that gives everybody the chance to run their show, and then you will see who does the best. Because the government is total control, and you have no control. You're representing the people, and you have no control over the funds.
Guy, well, you know what, Gary? Then you should just give up voting then.
No, I am saying to divide the control over things.
Well, why don't you just divide the country?
If you want to do it that way too, divide the country and see who does best, and then you can cross the floor and go inside.
I'm not going for that. I'm not going for that. If you get the right leadership and the right government, things can go fantabulously fantastic.
If you get, but avoid the chaos. I think the MP should have a certain amount of control.
I think that would be more chaotic because now your jurisdiction and my jurisdiction, and what happens in my jurisdiction, I can do something in my jurisdiction and run over to your jurisdiction, and my jurisdiction cannot touch me because that's out of their hands. I'm talking about
control over the funds. In the funds, far as running what happens, far as the schools need to be built, the roads need to be fixed, the MP should have a certain amount of control over the budget.
Absolutely. I don't see how that makes any sense. No? To me, if you go into the polls to vote for a government, you're voting for a government to run the country. And not only that, but if I go and I get 29 seats out of 41 seats, right? That's because the people voted for us to run the country.
Okay, so now
it's like telling the people in this country that Biden won, right? And then Biden come, then the senators in all the different constituencies come and tell Biden, well, you know, Biden, you had to give me money to run my state, you know. You had to give me separate, right? I want X amount of the budget, you know, to run my state, you know. I don't know how that makes sense, but Hailey says, Troy Smith, where's this big improvement Kamala did in Superior? The place still looks like the same, with the exception of the police station. All right. Curry's good night. Let me see what else here.
I listen. I'm trying to wrap my head what Gary's proposing, and it seems like just more division.
Yeah, that was sort of appears to me. Muscova, good night. I don't know how you vote a government in office, and then Albert Montano says we in Canada get representation because the MMP in province has an office and staff, and the MP has a staff and office, so they do a good job. Yeah, I mean, full 100. Yeah, I think we have people who are in the opposition and do a very good job with the constituency. Very good job. A very good job.
Did Mr. Johnson get backstage yet, Anselm?
Nah, he did. Well, it says Grandmaster Gary going on call someone for help. Denise said, starting with the Syrians, no one is exempt, and this is not a way forward. What do we as a people need to do is to move the needle forward rather than squabbling over Lavantel and Karen, your PNM and UNC. I agree with that full 100. Yep, I don't disagree with that, Vonnie Roberts. We had to speak about nation building and stop talking about dividing the country. You know, we had to stop talking about dividing the country, stop dividing love until whenever you want to make an example, you always have to use love until as an example. That's a coded word. That's coded words, right? We are here, the people in love until don't do that. Yeah, why them people in love until going on commit all the crime? Why? And it's coded words. We have to stop it. We have to stop it. Why are we continuing going on that road all the time? Eugene Julian says, tell Gary the things he's saying is the reason why you get kicked out of the UNC. You know? Albert says Fitzgerald Hines live in a large house in Marvel, top of the hill behind Shokonia Inn.
And where is he from?
Who's that?
Fitz.
Fitz is the representative for Laventille.
No, where is he from? Where is he? Where did he born and grow? You know, have an idea?
I don't know. Ellis said the Rowley promised you on Wall Street something. What he was doing in a house with you on Wall Street. I wonder if it had a pool. No, the house didn't have no pool. Yeah, until we decide to stop the divisive politics, we're just gonna continue spinning top in mud. That is it. You know, until the people. Yeah, Albert Montano says, we had the chance to make any changes we wanted, but the PP liked it when they won and say other things after. You hear that? Albert Montano. We had the chance to make any changes we wanted. Anyone they wanted to make, they had a chance. Any change they wanted to make. Right? But when they won, they say other things after. Anything they wanted to make, they could have changed it. Tropic says we need to decentralize, like in the USA. Albert Montano says we are a Westminster-style government, and we have to work with that. That's what we have to work with. That's what we have, and that's what we have to work with. Albert Montano says Gary's arguing for arguing's sake. He's not making sense, trying to be constructive. Tropic says that is rubbish clip. When that's taken from the successful to hand out to the not as successful work. Nadia says, and some auntie is trouble. Is this true? I don't think so though. Kamala does not live in Superior. I think doesn't Kamala Prasad live in Superior? Gary?
I know she lives somewhere down there. I don't know the exact location. Somewhere down in that area.
Yeah, I mean, I think she has a nice home in Superior, really nice home.
I think it's more Philippines. Part of the constituency is like Philippines area.
So Tommy, we still have. Oh, here's Andy Johnson.
She doesn't live in Superior. She lives in Philippines.
Hey, Mr. Johnson, welcome. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good, thanks.
Welcome, Andy.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for coming, Andy.
I can tell you all, I just came from a book launch. It's a launch of a book written about the life and times of one John Humphrey.
So, okay.
Who was the author? You were?
Nah, a lady named Zorina Shah, who used to be a journalist, but she worked a lot with, he had this program of getting land possessiveness for people called Susu lands. So she worked with that. She came from the trade unions. I think she used to work with Ultranad Union with Pandey and so on before she came into the media, and she went back to doing that kind of work. And she wrote this book that was published. Well, it was released today and so on. And so a lot of discussions had to do with his ideas about what he saw as a way in which to unite the country, and some of it didn't come to pass. He ran into problems with his own partners, and he was fired by Robinson himself at one point and so on. But he was hailed as somebody who was a critical thinker, who always had ideas. He lived before his time. Some of the things he was talking about, but he talked about how they made it possible for thousands of people to own land in which they build their houses in different parts of the country, by this concept called Susu lands.
Yeah, I know they had a big Susulan in Tobago, a certain part. Yeah, Susulan and Tobago, and it people up there have real nice houses and had a significant impact on the people in Tobago.
Yeah, but, and in different parts of Trinidad, they were able to do that as well, and so on.
So Andy, from your journalist lens, right? We were just talking about we were talking about leadership in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah.
Do you believe leadership, as far as political parties are concerned, has a significant impact of what's happening in Trinidad and Tobago?
But what do you mean when you're by a significant impact? The fact of Trinidad and Tobago is divided politically, and people just believe in a lot of cases sort of immovably by the side that they are on, so that is such that if you're a member of the PNM, for a lot of people, you do that unquestioningly. If you're a member of any of the parties, you do that unquestioningly. When you are inside those parties and you dare to say anything different from what is the orthodoxy, you get blacklisted, you get snubbed, you get kicked out. And so a lot of people try not to do that, because anytime you speak your mind, whichever side it is, you're accused of being traitorous and not on side and too critical for anybody's comfort. And that's part of I would say our downfall. So when people challenged the PNM back in the 1960s, the early 70s, Carl Hudson Phillips and others, I mean, they were ridiculed. There were all kinds of things were said about them. When people challenged Pandey in the UNC and the ULF, same kind of things, we behave like herds, we have a herd mentality inside political parties, because if you be too critical of yourselves and your colleagues, you're not to be trusted. And so a lot of what transpired today in this book launch was about that, how Humphrey was treated because he dared to disagree with some of the things that Robinson, as leader of the party, was doing, and but it is always the case that after the fact, people get praised for what they were saying while they were saying it, and people get blacklisted and banished, and and on reflection, we big them up for having had the guts to say that at the time. That's part of our problem, I would say, our downfall.
Do you see that changing anytime soon?
Well, anything is possible at any time. I am that kind of person. I'm just sort of, I would say, condemned to be optimistic. Otherwise, you can't survive. If you're not optimistic enough, you can't survive. You become cynical, and I don't want to ever become cynical. But and we've seen that in some ways in which people come together and form unities. We've had, whenever there was a change of government in Trinidad, it's because outside of the PNM, it's because people came together in larger numbers and in ways that we didn't expect. In 1986, it took a coming together of everybody else besides those who was in PNM to form an alliance called the National Alliance for Reconstruction. And in 2010, it was called the People's Partnership. 5 parties coming together, and they come together, and then there are disagreements, and people start breaking away and so on. So the PNM is what it is. For good or bad, it has a core, and that core remains. And to unseat it and to put up a challenge, the times that we've done it, it's because most of the people who are of different persuasions have to come together, and it could happen again.
Andy, we saw recently in Tobago, we had a drastic change, and also we saw that in Grenada, we have something new, and it's a bunch of fresh players. You think we could look forward to that in Trinidad anytime soon?
Yes, what I'm saying, but remember, in Grenada, it took 20 years. I mean, Dr. Keith Mitchell was there for 20 years. And so after a while, you get fatigued with one-sidedness. And in Tobago, it's the same thing. The PNM in Tobago 21 years as the leading party after you had about 10 years of the Robinson Alliance in Tobago, the Democratic Action Congress. That was the Tobago party under Robinson, and they ran for a while, and then the PNM came back in and went for 20 years, and so it takes some time for that change, for people to be mobilized enough to make these changes. So
Andy, this is Diana. How are you doing?
Very good, thanks. How are you?
I'm great. I'm in California at a writers' conference, so I'm not on set with the guys. But I want to ask you, you notice most headlines I see, and people are disgruntled with the incumbent. They never say the PNM must go. They say Rowley must go. What say you, is fueling that, sentiment?
Well, I would say that people don't say that the PNM must go. There are people who believe that, but there's this thing about focusing on the leader, and that's part of our political culture. We focus on the leader and say that. So when we talk about Rowley must go, it means that the PNM must go, but it starts with the head, and so we go for the head.
Okay. Because I was interpreting it to mean if Rowley makes his exodus, perhaps they can reshuffle and regroup, and I don't know how they'll sway the voters, but try and put a new person leading person to lead the incumbent.
PNM,
but yes.
Yeah, well, from back in the days of Dr. Williams, there are people who said that the emphasis was on him because people believe that the leader must take the brunt of whatever it is. So that's all they say. When it was Pandey must go. When it was Robinson must go.
So you've seen this sort of sentiment before?
Yeah. That's the nature of our politics.
Okay, all right.
When are we going to get away from the divisive politics on both sides of the political divide?
Well, I don't know. I don't know you could get away from it because once you have contestation, once you have this kind of democracy, you cater for that, disagreements and undisagreements and so on. In the best of societies in the world, that is how it is. We come together. Otherwise, it makes no sense having a plurality of participation and so on. We have a one-party state, and like in Cuba and that's what they're doing in Venezuela and places like that. And once you have the opportunity to have differences of opinion and contestations in this kind of way, you'll have that.
Now, Andy, also we were having a discussion here tonight, right? Why do we tend to want to make these analogies, right? Like saying, well, the PNM has always voted. I mean, the people of Laventille have always voted for the PNM, right? You will hear that analogy as opposed to certain constituencies in the UNC always voted for the UNC. Why do we make the analogy one-sided as far as Laventille is concerned, and don't make the analogy on the other side as far as the UNC is concerned?
Well, the people who will say that are anti-PNM, and the people who would say the other thing are anti the opposition. There are people who say that they are what you call it, these constituencies that there's a name for it. These what they call in Jamaica the garrison communities that hold for one side all the time. So there are people who take that position. So the PNM could never win in a constituency like Pinal Debe and Oropoch East and some of those constituencies. That's what people believe. So in order to beat the PNM and to beat the UNC in some of these places, it requires a different kind of politics on the other side. So there are those, I like to use the term of the Jamaicans, the garrison communities, that there are those, but because it has never happened, there are when in 1986, when you had 33-3, the 3 was the 2 seats in Port of Spain, for instance. Port of Spain South went to the NAR, Port of Spain North went to the NAR, but Laventille East and West remained.
Yeah.
And one of the seat was the 3rd seat, right? 33-3.
Do you think we could ever see a 33-3? I mean, it's 41 constituencies now. Do you think we could ever see that type of a whitewash again in Trinidad and Tobago?
Why, like I say, any things are always possible. Things are always possible. So it's never, you can't say never. Maybe not in our lifetimes, but these things happen. Nobody believed that would have happened in 1986, and then in 2010, some of the seats that went against the PNM in 2010, two Tobago seats, for instance, and parts of the country. You had 2912.
Do you think the PDP, the PEP, and the NTA can have any effect on the 2025 general election or the upcoming local election?
My feeling is no, because I'm questioning in my own mind, and I'm trying to talk to people about it. The first thing is that did the people of Tobago vote for a party to look at their internal affairs, for the leader to have, in my view, abandoned them and coming and trying to set up a beachhead in Trinidad? So that is what that was his plan, to do that. And people are questioning that. So he's about the place in Port of Spain on the promenade, giving out loaves of bread and hops and so on. He went into the Beetham, which is part of Port of Spain South. He went into St. Paul Street, which is this part of the PNM. The interesting thing is that, and that says something about our political maturity to a point, because there were times when he would not have been allowed to enter those places. He would have been stoned and turned back. And so I've heard people talk to me about, in those days, when you enter PNM territory, if you are hostile politically, you couldn't enter, you couldn't speak, and them kind of thing. So he was allowed to do that. It was polite, but yeah, I'm trying to talk to PNM people about that, including the MP, and they're saying that they're not taking him on because he's not going to get any traction in those communities. There are always people who are. This is a time when there's a lot of disgruntlement for all kinds of reasons. High unemployment. Things are rough for a lot of people. So people are quarreling in those constituencies. I mean, a couple of months ago, they kicked water in the face of Mr. Hines. I heard you were talking about him a while ago. In the Beetham, people expressing their frustrations. But I don't think that Hudson Duke is going to establish any beachhead in those areas.
So Andy, stay with us for a few seconds. We're going to go for a quick station identification. It's in the village with the DAG Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. We come to every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. That's Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. We'll be right back.
You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to WZYE 95.9 FM, the most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey, the most influential name in Caribbean radio, WZYE 95.9 FM.
Back with you. It's in the village with the DAG Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. Come to you every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. Rose, Albert Montano, Wallerfield Nuts. Could you put closing comments in the chat? Fistic, put closing comments in the chat. Highly and Tropics, please put closing comments in the chat. Yes, Andy. So you think the PDP is not going to have any impact come in this upcoming local election here? And let me ask you a question, Andy. Let's say the the PDP pulls a duck in this upcoming local election. You think that's it for them?
Not necessarily. It's a new party. They're yet to peak, in my view, in Trinidad, because the understanding was that this was a party that was about the business of the people in Tobago. He may be able to derive some kind of an acceptance among people in Trinidad, because there are some people who look for alternatives. I'm not sure to what extent that will redound to the kind of outcomes he's looking for.
Yeah, don't you think he might be peaking a little too early? Because 2025 is a long ways away.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He's not peaking yet. we'll see what happens. But with 2022, we're halfway through there.
You are listening to WZYE LP 95.9 FM, Maplewood, New Jersey.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah. So
Yeah,
you
by
don't
2023, by the end of this year, it's going to be almost the opener of the election season by then. You have 2 years, and that flies. So he's doing some groundwork to see if he could, like I say, establish a beachhead.
You know, Andy, I saw your interview with Senator David Nackett, and I mean, we have invited Senator Nackett here, and he hasn't come as yet. You know,
Yeah.
but I have some difficulties with Senator Nackett, right? And here's why, right? You know, Senator Nackett was an outstanding football player for Trinidad and Tobago. I think he was also captain of the Trinidad national team as well. You know, he played in Lebanon for quite some time.
Yeah.
You know, I have somewhat difficulties with him calling the president an insipid jackass and calling the prime minister a jackass, because I know when he lived in Lebanon, he couldn't call any politicians in Lebanon those words. Or, I mean, you know, we know that if you call somebody in Lebanon that type of names, you know what could happen. You know,
Yeah.
what do you say about the overall, you know, tenets of politics in Trinidad? These name callings, and it seemed to get, you know, higher and higher in a scale of sort of being disrespectful. What's your take on that?
But I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that kind of approach. But you know, it is allowed on all sides. You know, when it suits their purpose. The PNM people say all kinds of things about their opponents and so on. You know, but I don't agree with that. You can't. To me, but Nackett has always been very controversial, even as a footballer. There were disputes among journalists in Trinidad as to how he was treated when he was playing for the national team, and so on. You either liked him or you didn't, and he's always a kind of flashpoint kind of figure. His sister, who's a psychologist, she says, you know, he's always been that kind of a person. You know, he's always sort of over the top with his comments about one kind or another. That's not something I agree with.
Yeah, I just when I look at them type of things, on both sides of the political divide, I kind of cringe as an outsider looking in, you know, and people who are outside here, you know, looking at the politics. I'm like, oh man, I hope one day, you know, I mean, both political leaders will come together and under these two regimes and tell, you know, their people under them and their leaders and their followers, I should say, that, you know, we need to stop this type of divisive politics, because it doesn't do nothing for the country.
Well,
but at the end of the day, I think it's the divisive politics is what, you know, continue to make them have their supporters that they have. I'm just thinking.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of people just shy away from it. A lot of people who have things to offer don't want to put themselves in that situation where you feel you have to do that, because some people expect that, and when you don't do that, you get criticized for being too soft and so on, and you know.
Yeah, it's just interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know. So Andy, will you ever get involved in politics, or you?
No. I mean, I got close enough, and from what I was privileged to observe, even in the situation that I was in, and I said I couldn't do that, because I could tell you that even when you get into the belly of the beast, like I did for that 5 years with the partnership, people aren't as coordinated and as tightly knit as they give the impression outside. I mean, you were talking about Gary Griffith a while ago. I tell people I've had the good fortune of having been close to him for 5 years, because there's situations in which I, as they said, the government's PR man, and he was the national security in a couple of different roles. And so sometimes he's on one side of the prime minister and I'm on the next. And I came to say that I would not encourage anybody to vote for him. I would not encourage anybody to see him as any leader of the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
That's a strong condemnation.
Yeah.
Why would you say that?
Well, my own experience with him, some of the things that I heard him say about other people within the partnership, how, his attitude to other people, to third parties and so on, people around him, he's not somebody that I would recommend for anybody,
But do you think he was a good police commissioner?
No, for the same reason that he felt that he must dictate what everybody else does. He must decide what the judges and the magistrates do in court. If a decision comes down that is not to his liking, he's out there criticizing it. His own colleagues, if he doesn't agree with them, he's out there criticizing it. Take the fact that, and I said that I thought it was highly cynical of the PNM government to make him national security minister when the PNM coming back into power, spent the better part of that 5-year period between 2015 and 2020 criticizing the last government on the basis of what it did with the national security apparatus in the country. He was Minister of National Security after having been National Security Advisor to the Prime Minister. So if the regime that he was part of, particularly in this question of national insurance, national security, was so pilloried by the government in office now for its handling of national security apparatus, all this stuff about the OPV boats and the national security helicopter and all of that, the changes that were made, the decisions that the government took. If it took such a beating for that, and he was Commissioner of Police after being National Security Advisor, and it didn't occur to them that he had to take some of the blame for that, and he was made Commissioner of Police. Something was wrong with that. You see what I mean?
Andy, do you think that Mrs. Kamala Persad-Bissessar, as the political leader of the UNC, and Dr. Keith Christopher-Rowley as the political leader of the PNM have outlived their how I could put it, their longevity as far as leaders?
Usefulness.
My view is that I think she should step down, and I think the Prime Minister should move on, because he unprovoked told the country on the night of the last election in 2020 that he doesn't want to be one of those people who has to be taken out feet first. He said, we have things to do, we have places to go. When he said that on the night of the election in 2020, his wife left where she was, went up on the podium, hugged him and kissed him. So I imagine that they would have discussed that. Now he's saying that he's not discussing that anymore. So you can ask him about, but you said that 2 years ago that you want to move on, you don't want to spend the rest of your life there, so they had to take your head foot toes first. Who led you to say that? And you said it then, and now you're saying you're not sure you want to consider that anymore. I have a problem with that.
I mean, it shows that yesterday's yesterday. Who said that? Pandey? Is Pandey said that yesterday?
Yes, yesterday, and today's today. Yeah. I know it was Ramesh Lawrence Mirage, I think. Yeah.
Ramesh Lawrence Mirage. Somebody said politics have a morality of its own.
It does. Pandey is the one who said that.
Pandey said that.
Yeah, and it does, because people make deals. All the arguments they would have in the open. Sometimes they make deals.
And tomorrow is the UNC internal election, right? It's tomorrow. Or what's today? Tomorrow.
I think it's tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my view. I think she's served her time. The fact is that she's lost every other election since 2010, but the fact is that she has a lot of support inside the party, and that's the question.
No. Last question. Why do people say that these elections? Well, Pandey had said that he believed that, I don't want to misquote him, man. There was some type of nefarious activities with respect to the internal election in the UNC. I mean, he had said something to that effect, right? And and people say the same thing about the PNM as well. Why is this things always being thrown around that somehow these elections are sort of not, somewhat rigged, so to speak?
A sort of what?
Rigged, so to speak. Rigged.
There's no proof of that. The elections are rigged. Not at all. People vote how
not the election, but the internal elections. They also say that about the general elections too as well.
Yeah, well, people make these comments when they don't like the results and so on. But and that to some extent, that is why there's some truth when Pandey says that politics has a morality of its own, because the kinds of things that people do to either agree with positions, line up behind people, or don't line up behind them has nothing to do with how people live otherwise. Deals are made within and among combatants sometimes for other causes, and so on. And sometimes you have to sleep with the devil to get what you want. Politics is like that. A lot of cases so you have to make allowances and make alliances, and people will say things across the floor in the parliament, and they will hang out together outside. So you'd be surprised to know what the nature of the friendships are between people on different sides of the aisle when you get behind it. And I've seen some of that.
You think Fouad can have any chance?
Fuad Khan, I don't think so, because at the end of the day, you can't. No, nobody puts a gun to the head of the people who support Kamala Persad-Bissessar, and she has tremendous support to continue remaining as political leader of the UNC. Some people say that because of that, she doesn't have the support widespread in the country anymore. She didn't have it. She won an election because she led a team made up of 5 parties. Other people brought their sections of support to her and to the UNC. I'm not sure that is going to happen this time. Since we're talking about it, I tell you again, I'll show you how politics has a morality of its own again here. In the paper yesterday, the headline on the front page was a picture of the Ansel Roger speaking into Kamala Prasad's ear.
Yes.
On this matter of where the negotiations are not going for the public service. He was one of the leaders of the movement for social justice. That's one of the parties that formed the alliance to win the election in 2010. By 2012, he had walked out and saying that because he was convinced then that the UNC was corrupt. If the UNC was corrupt, such that you and the MSJ and David Abdullah, and they walked away from the partnership. So has she become so uncorrupt now that you could be looking for her support in addressing the issue of when the negotiations are, and you all have a picture on the front page, you are speaking into her ear? Consider that.
I call them there's high definition television, right? HDTV.
Yes.
I call them HDD people. Hypocrites, disingenuous, and deceitful.
Well, that's the nature of that kind of politics, because so they purporting to be up against Rowley and everything against him, and so that whatever the alliances are to go up against him, there are people who would line up for that. Unless he could tell this country whether he renounced this position he had about the UNC. And if you're talking about the UNC, you're talking about the supreme leadership of it, and you're talking about Kamala Persad-Bissessar. So how she could have been so corrupt during 2010 and 2015, but now you're trying to form make common cause with her on this question of negotiations for public sector workers. When she was prime minister and she was offering 5%, they rejected it out of hand, and it became what it became. When Duke accepted the 5%, he was treated like persona non grata among the trade unionists. They called him all kinds of names. Now they're friends again.
I mean, that's the same thing what I say. When I see this guy in the papers with Kamala Persad-Bissessar, I'm like, these guys in them, I guess it was absolutely right. Politics have a morality of its own.
That's what I'm saying. So those are illustrations of that, live and direct, contemporary illustrations of that.
Yeah. So Andy, it's always a pleasure you joining us, man. Any closing words before you go?
No, it's just I take it off to you. I take my hat off to you guys. Wanting to maintain an interest, in what is happening in the country. A lot of times, that happens in other places. We don't pay too much attention for it because in different parts of the world, and I read stories about people who get positions of political leadership in places in Africa, in Europe, and other places like that. When you read the histories, they spent many years outside of their countries, campaigning for better, and then came
Yeah,
back. And,
yeah, correct.
so
Absolutely
that's good.
correct. You know,
That's good.
I mean, we are the same way here. You know, is that, even though we live outside of, but Andy, they chastise us a lot, right? You know what they tell us? I don't know why you guys don't stay in America and stay out of Trinidad and Tobago business.
Yeah, they just tell me as a Bajan, I need to mind my business, Andy, but born in Trinidad, eh? Okay.
Yes. That's what I mean. There's been a lot of great history about people who, I mean, take what you to anywhere in Iran and Afghanistan and so on. People.
Mhm.
The Ayatollah Khomeini lived in France for many years, and he had support there. Leaders in all parts of the developing world, third world, and Africa. Romelu Betancourt, president of Venezuela, and even the great Simon Bolivar.
Yeah.
They fought their battles for independence in different countries in South America from being outside, and some of them lived in Trinidad, such that the first printing press in Venezuela was shipped from Trinidad by some of those people, Bolivar's people. One of the freedom fighters in that movement in Venezuela is buried in the La Perouse Cemetery. A man called Francisco de Miranda. He happened to die here, while fighting for independence in Venezuela.
Yeah, history lesson there tonight, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Andy, it's always a pleasure, and thank you so very kindly for taking the time to join
How's
us.
your beautiful daughter, Andy? She good?
She's fine, thanks. She's fine, thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
Tell her I said hello.
Certainly. I'll do that. All right.
Okay, Andy, take care.
Keep good, man.
All right, bye-bye.
All right.
Yeah. We can't hear Tommy. I can't hear Tommy because I don't know what Tommy doing.
Tommy have Bally's the thing on the mic.
No, Tommy's there, But
Tommy!
No, you can't.
Unmute your mic.
Yeah, his mic is muted.
Gary, you're talking to me. But anyway, let me see a chat. Somebody asking about Stormy and daycare. He good. He gets pampered up there.
All right. So
guys, my internet's been acting up. I'm not able to. It's weird. While Andy was on, I was having a whole lot of problems with my internet.
As Andy going, it come back.
Yeah.
What I feel, you like to hear my voice? You just feel good? All right. I'll call you regularly.
All
right. So, Tommy, any closing comments?
Well, all I have to say is that love is definitely the key, and we have to stop the divisive conversation and focus on healing and unity more than anything else, especially in these times. But it was a pleasure being here in the village tonight. I had some technical difficulties at one point. Sorry, I was able to not be as engaging as I needed to be. But from here, things are going to get better. Blessed weekend to everyone and be safe.
Stop buying them shiny thing. One good thing, no cheap. Cheap thing, no good.
No, I thought I had good thing. I always thought so, but you know what?
Don't buy them thing on Broad Street in Newark. You have to go here.
Okay, Storm.
You want my closing words, Ansel?
Yeah.
The clock on the wall say I tire. So to bed I'm going to retire. I mean, you can't open your eyes for goodness. You can't stay awake for goodness sake. Go in your bed. That's where I am. Good night, beloved people.
Thank you, Diana. So, folks, when it's uncomfortable, when it's popular, even when it's dangerous to speak the truth, it's the precise time that the truth should be spoken. From where I said this is it, the clock on the wall said that's all I like to say, but I've got to go. Remember, hard work beats talent, When talent does not work out, and for every 60 seconds of anger, you lose 1 minute of happiness. Let me see.
Nadia's closing comment. Blessed night, everyone. Stay safe. Stop the race talk, people. How you make your bed is where you sleep on it. True.
Hailey says, closing comments. What can I say? In order for change, we have to do the right thing. Vote PEP next election.
Rose said, I hate racist conversation. I would rather listen to 10 fat people farts while sitting over. Rose, that's why your teeth hurting here.
But Fish Stick says, Rose, anyway. Okay, hold on. All right, let me see who else here. I think I saw Albert Montano says, in life, it's better to try and fail than fail to try. An open discussion is better than not saying anything at all. I agree with that.
Rose, tie a string on the teeth, tie it on a doorknob, and let somebody pull the door shut.
Yeah, okay. So, folks, we're gonna go out with our anthem song tonight. We need to have a seismic shift in Trinidad and Tobago, and we just can't go on this way.
I can't believe how mentally they go like.
Is Pharaoh still existing? As he before, resembling an Israelite, not being treated right, enslaved day and night. Oh, we just can't go on this way. We just can't go on this way. Please deliver us today. We just can't go on this way. We like the Israelites still in pain. We just can't.
See them